2022 bring for your business? Will it be more of the same, or will you vow to do things differently to start your year? Will you spend this month coming in for a soft landing, ensuring a slow takeoff next year? Or will you build momentum and velocity now and soar to new heights in the coming year? We all have a choice. Some choose to step forward while others wait and see. Fortune favors the bold. Learn how to be bold in your business right now at yumaadvertising.com.
AM 560, KBLU. Russ Clark back with you. It's Friday morning. Mel's in studio.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thought I heard a phone ringing. No, I'm good. Just kidding. Hyundai of Yuma out there on 32nd Street. Man, I don't know what their hours are today. I mean, everybody's open a little bit today. I'm sure they're going to cut off early, but if you don't make it today or tomorrow, get out there Sunday. I'm sure it'll be around. Take a test drive. America's Best Warranty. 5 years, 60,000 miles, 10 years, 100. That's a veteran-owned business out there. And today being Christmas Eve day, Mel, I have no idea who's up and about, but I know people are mostly closing early if they're not closed. If you haven't got your Christmas shopping done, you might be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
you might be a little bit behind on what you need to be. I was reading the newspaper this morning on some local stuff now, and I didn't think about this, but you know, the COVID has caused a lot of changes for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, everybody's affected, touched, and we're going to look back on this thing now and wonder what we did right, what we did wrong, and what works, what doesn't work. And I guess it's going to be different regionally, Mel.
Well, yeah, it will.
Big, because we're doing something totally different than New York or California and all that kind of stuff. And
you're seeing one result in Florida and a different one in Illinois, for example.
Yeah, and of course in Florida, their results are the best in the country right now.
Yes, they are.
And they're the freest.
Yes.
No mask mandates, the
right.
governor's really standing up for you out there. And that's got to confuse people, but because they're going into more lockdowns in a lot of places. And they're saying, look, the answer is not Florida, the answer is lockdowns.
Yeah, but Florida and Texas seem to be working.
Yeah, and Arizona is a lot freer than most. Yeah. We don't have much anything going on with lockdowns and all that kind of stuff anymore. But something on the paper this morning says extended premises to soon require more walking space. I didn't understand what that meant. That was a weird headline for me this morning. And they're talking about the downtown area. During the pandemic, when it first started with the COVID, of course, the shops downtown were all locked down. You couldn't go to a restaurant. And it was all frustrating. And they made you do takeout only type stuff. And they allowed some outdoor dining, which I did right away when outdoor dining was allowed. There was a picnic table out there on Main Street. There was a city picnic table.
Yeah.
And I went down there and sat down on the picnic table and was eating something with my granddaughter or something. And the police officer came along and told us to move on. So, well, we're outdoors, I don't argue, the guy's trying to do his job, and I'm sure he gets as many mixed signals as anybody.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, so
it's got to be.
So I moved on or whatever, and then the city ended up taking those picnic tables away. They were gone after that, and then they came out with this when they did start opening. They said you could only have so many people.
Yeah,
and they said, but you could do outdoor dining. Again, and so the city extended outdoor dining onto the sidewalks for all these businesses. And I didn't really think about it, but during this electric light parade, I was really intrigued when I saw everything set up so early. They were serving beer out on the sidewalk. Now that wasn't a good way to go to jail in the past.
Yes, it was.
But it's completely allowed now, as they've extended the businesses out there to be able to operate normally out on the sidewalks. Yeah. They can operate normally, which is more like a Vegas attitude, where you could walk down the street with a beer in Vegas. Here you really couldn't, with the exception of special events, which they got a license for a special event or something. Well, this one, there was no special event license. This was just them acting as businesses where they were allowed to extend their premises out to sidewalks. So a lot of them had extra tables brought in that went all the way to the road. and they had them reserved, and it was a very festive, great event. They took great care of us, and I was shocked at first. I was like, well, this is new, but it's not really. It was something that had been happening. It just it became more obvious. Now they're talking about, everyone likes it. We ought to keep that thing permanent. Well, we'll see. You're on the air.
Say, Russ, Mel, how y'all doing?
Good morning, sir.
Hey, Russ, what you're talking about there, the beer served on the sidewalk?
Yeah.
We did that in Vegas for many, many years, probably for like 50 years. Then when we started growing so much up there, that the people, I'm talking about the voters, they can screw anything up, like they did the last election.
Of course.
But they screwed it up. They started throwing the glass beer bottles and breaking them on the sidewalk and hitting people with them and cutting them up and getting in fights. So they narrowed it down to just you walk from casino to casino with glasses. Then they did that. So they eliminated your paper cups. Now I think in Vegas you can get arrested if you take a beer outside. The people will screw this up like they're screwing the country up.
Yeah. There's a good chance of it. I like it. I hope they continue it for now. I didn't see any beer bottles smashed outside the.
Oh, well, not just yet. Okay. You didn't listen to me. I said for decades, for 50 years, you could take a beer bottle and go outside.
Yeah.
This is when we had a sane public. The last 2 decades, I think a decade is like
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
That's generation.
Yep.
20 years. So, they'll mess it up. Voters, look what they did to November 3rd, that guy.
All right.
But what I call, anyway, we're not going nowhere with that. What I'll call you about was the tough guy Biden. He got tough with Putin on a virtual meet. You know what a virtual meet is, don't you?
I do not.
It's on a camera from TV screen to TV screen at the virtual meeting.
Okay.
You don't know that?
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, that's a Skype and everything. No, I'm having a hard time with my headphones now. Something just happened. I'm having technical problems, but I'll get it figured out.
This is why I call him the tough guy.
Yeah.
See, when you have a virtual meeting, it's like gossip. I can talk about anyone behind their back, but I'm not that kind of a guy. I'll bring it to your face. That's what I do.
I've noticed.
No, that's what I do. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And or I keep my mouth. My mom always told us not to talk bad to other people because it'll catch up to you. Is what she said.
Oh, she
But anyway, but he did. Well, you don't know what a virtual meeting is. I'll stop it right there.
Yeah, that Skype thing. I don't do them. I think they have a place.
No, I didn't say Skype now.
Okay,
I'm talking about it here.
You said virtual meeting.
I don't have Skype. I can communicate with my daughter in Germany over my TV set.
Okay.
Just crystal clear.
All right. Well, Skype is just one version of it. So that's all.
I'm 80 years old. I'm an old dummy.
Okay.
But anyway, he said he used a word. He's going to smack him.
Wow.
Remember the tough guy going to smack you? Well, remember he wanted to take Trump. Maybe you don't remember that. He wanted to take Trump up behind the gym.
Oh yeah, out behind the shed or something or the gym. That guy's crazy. Yeah.
Look, if you're changing your politics, I'm just quit because you sound like you're going progressive now.
Oh, I am. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you don't have a stand on anything, Russ, anymore.
All right.
When Biden first got elected, you and Mel both remember. Y'all said, "Well, he's your president. I got to respect him because he's my president." And now he's not your president, is he?
He is the president of the United States. I mean, we don't have a choice.
Fraudulently, he is.
Yeah.
So you're defending him again. So I think you're really going for red.
I probably am.
But the sidewalk thing, the city is going to be wrong on the sidewalk thing with glass bottles because the people themselves will screw it up. Because wait till the first little kid goes running down the sidewalk barefooted and cuts his freaking artery by his ankle.
Oh, man, I hope not.
Then they're going to go, whoa, we did the wrong. Have you ever seen a broken bottle?
Yeah.
The bottom has like a spear on one side of it when it breaks.
Yeah.
And your foot will just hit it. I've stepped on one. I know what it is.
Okay.
That's why it's not fun stuff. You walk away limp, and they for 5, 6 years, if it ever cures it, gets well. But anyway, I won't finish this Biden thing because I thought it was just hilariously funny. What the word smack turned out to be.
I appreciate
Anyway, I'll see you later.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. That's OG this one. I got to take a break, figure out this headset. It's going in and out on me. We'll be right back. AM 560. KBLU.
So this is Christmas. And what have you done?
Good news to get some rain, for the most part on the light side, from 1/10 to 1/2 of an inch of rain, and then we're dry. COVID-19. But one thing we know for sure, vaccines aren't enough. Check for fever, COVID's #1 symptom, with the Exergen temporal scanner, and learn more at Exergen.com. I'm meteorologist Terry Smith from the Weather Channel.
If they were in the business of building better vacuum cleaners, chances are your rug would be pretty darn clean. If they spent the time thinking about lawnmowers, you'd probably be the envy of your neighbors. If piecing together go-karts was their bag, you'd be the fastest kid in the alley. They'd probably be good at a lot of different things, but they're in the business of building motorcycles, and it's what they do best. Harley-Davidson brand motorcycles. The time is now for you to make the lifelong commitment to ride. Visit Bobby's Territorial Harley-Davidson today at 2550 East Gila Ridge Road in Yuma.
In today's Farm and Ranch headlines from AgNet West, growers and pest control professionals have an updated resource available to help respond to increasing diamondback moth infestations. More details after this.
Today's show is brought to you by Old Insecticides, delivering those average results.
We interrupt to bring you Versus Insecticide, a new class of aphid control for leafy vegetables and brassica.
Well, now, Old Insecticides might keep aphids off crops.
Versus a unique mode of action, delivering advanced protection for better crop quality.
The old stuff, you just spray it and hope.
Versus quickly stopping feeding damage.
There's no comparing old
versus new. Versus Insecticide from BASF.
Always read and follow label directions.
UC Cooperative Extension Entomology and Biologicals Advisor Dr. Surendra Dara has put together updated IPM guidelines to help address issues of diamondback moth.
There aren't any new solutions in general. We have biological insecticides and synthetic insecticides and cultural practices or host-plant resistance related options. They have been around for a while, but the key point in my recent article is to use IPM as the IPM strategy as a solution, because we know that there are options, but how we use them is the key aspect for IPM. So the key point there is understand what is happening and what kind of resistance growers might be seeing, and maximize the potential of non-chemical alternatives. I got feedback from some people that, these are very good and comprehensive, but some people said, we don't have anything new. And what do we do about resistance management? The whole point of resistance management is rotate insecticides from various mode of action groups and reduce reliance on pesticides. There isn't anything more to add. It's as simple as.
I'm Brian German for AgNet West Radio Network.
And once you get there, Philo is more than 60 channels. Because there's no natural coordination on the team, and they get left out of events. And Vice President Kamala Harris says if she were a white male, the media would treat her better, according to the New York Times. Harris facing her own staffing problems, and several key people are leaving her office.
So brightly shining, it is the night of our dear Savior's birth.
AM 560 KBLU. Russ Clark with you. It's Mel's in studio.
Yes, sir.
I tried to play an old Holy Night version off the. I think that works out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. I got a better connection now on my headset. I couldn't hardly hear her, OG. I was getting frustrated. My headset was cutting in and out. But one of the I have my headset plugged into a multiple outlet thing, and one of them just stopped working for me. Started getting staticky, and then it started getting where one earpiece went dead and the other one was barely
Every
working.
time someone makes an improvement to this, what's going on in this room, we have a problem.
There's adjustments. We got to do adjustments. There's no doubt about it. As far as the extended premises go, and he was very negative on it, and he remembers some of the things happening in Vegas. It'll be a little different, I think, in downtown area in that the extended premises will still be the responsibility of the shop owner. Mm-hmm. You can't walk down the street with a beer. You can buy a beer at a shop out on the sidewalk, but you still have to maintain within
a certain area, right?
And they're having to lease that. I mean, they're looking at the rules now, but it looks like they're going to have to somehow enter a lease with the city. Mm-hmm. But part of that lease agreement, I'm sure, is to maintain it, keep it clean, keep it whatever, and maybe we can avoid some of the things that he was talking about as far as. All right, now I still have Johnny working on me, telling me what, helping me out here on what I can turn up and down, which is nice. Nice he does that. As we hit into the, Christmas is here upon, today's Christmas Eve and all that. Mm-hmm. And not all the news is positive coming out of the politics of things. And of course, we're going to we'll continue to cover it, even if it's. Gosh, can't we talk about something more upbeat? It's kind of hard to not cover it, but it looks like there's more disconnect between in the White House than what was ever talked about or pushed out there. Because the press covered them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go through some of that, but it's causing an exodus of a lot of staff members. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Russ and Mel. How are we doing?
Good morning.
Doing well, Carl. Good morning.
Nice wet Friday.
Yeah, it was raining. I told my daughter yesterday, well, it's going to rain tomorrow morning. No, she assured me it wasn't. I think I was right again.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You know what my 2 cents is today, Russ?
What's that, buddy?
I think we're getting ready. We're being a little freer people. We can sit out on the damn sidewalk and drink a beer.
I do like it downtown. I do like it.
If somebody starts making an ass of themselves, go thump them in the head and run them off.
Yeah.
Don't let. Why should I let? And why would the police and why would the sheriff let anybody go down there and interrupt people having a good time?
Well, they shouldn't, and it should be policed, and the police, policing it will be done by the shop owners. The shop owners will keep it clean and ruly. Unlike Vegas, I think.
Well, the Republicans would send the police down there, and the Democrats would send Black Lives Matter down there. So
yeah, we want to avoid that at all costs.
Well, I think our great people in the service here, police and sheriff, do a good job of that.
Yeah,
it's just that our government won't help them. The people will be glad to help them, but our government won't help them.
Well. We got to worry about the local first and foremost, and I think we've got that in pretty good shape, and we need to continue it. And it matters who we vote for city council and for all of our elected officials, and we need to make sure that we put the people in there that are going to keep us on the right track, and not the ideology that is destroying the nation.
That's why I like Nicole Wilkinson so much.
Yeah,
I think she will do that.
Oh,
and I would almost bet money she'll catch a lot of flack from people over too, just trying to take care of we the people.
She's going to be a headliner as far as controversy. Yes, there's just no doubt about it. But that's okay because she's going to be doing something.
But what the government has to realize that we the people are going to be behind that lady.
Yeah.
It's just like we the people were behind Trump. And they even had to cheat and lie to get him out of there. So
yeah, but the mainstream press isn't going to have as much effect on Nicole as they did Trump. So
no,
that's
not going to happen. Yeah.
Hey, but we the people are.
Oh gosh, yes. We
the people are going to go clear up to our next election, and we're going to change it.
We need to stand up for it, buddy. We do.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend. Have a good Christmas.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Carl.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
That's our friend Carl looking for Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I didn't really realize the dynamics between the White House and the Vice President and the President. Apparently, they start gelling a lot more when the staff starts becoming tighter. And what happens with the vice president is they'll get some staff members at a higher level. The president sees it and he'll steal them. And then some of the lower level president staffers will look like they are doing really well and they'll get promoted to the vice president will steal them at a higher level. And they'll move up in the vice president ranks. And by sharing them back and forth, they get a lot better communications. They know each other. They work out. Apparently, it's not doing that within the Biden administration and Harris. Apparently,
it appears from what I've been reading, there's a lot of friction.
Yeah,
within the.
Yeah, there's and it hasn't been in the news. I guess the news keeps quiet. And of course, this is one of the most secretive, non-communicative administrations probably ever. They're just not available. And when they are available, they have a list of who we will call on. Only those that agree with the narrative and that are going to support us, basically. Yep. And so they don't have any controversy because they control the press.
Because there's nobody against them, right?
Yeah. Well, right now we've heard recently that Harris has had quite a few that have come forward and say they're going to retire, get out of there, move on, get out. It's not abnormal. I mean, Trump had a lot of people turn over too. I mean, Trump did, and they all do. But I think Trump had a little bit more. I mean, he was a guy that was a magnet for controversy. I mean, the press was finding anything they could with him.
When you're looking for a reason to get someone, you're going to find one. If you can't find one, you'll make one.
They did. They made it all.
And the idea was to make one.
Make it up. But I think they're having even more now. Apparently, we just don't hear about it. And they're saying that after the first year, Biden will have a lot more. That'll be walking. Again, not terribly unusual. It's a tough grind.
Yeah.
Apparently, these jobs are not easy.
Sure.
And Trump was a guy that didn't sleep, so you had to stay away.
Yeah. The guy that was 20 hours a week, 20 hours a day was.
He was not a nap guy. Yeah, he kept working. But now with record inflation, soaring gas prices, supply chain issues, all that stuff, that's created by the White House. His approval ratings has shown it, and apparently his approval ratings are worse than Jimmy Carter's.
Yeah.
Historically low. And he doesn't care, which means that he has a different way to get elected, which scares me that they're trying to take over the election cycles to do something strange and different. But we'll see where that goes. But a lot of them are updating their resumes, and there's a lot of leakers now. White House sources are coming out and say a lot of the natural coordination that happens in a typical functioning White House has been lost. And there's been no proactive effort to make up for it through intentional team building. And these are coming from official White House officials, anonymous. I guess they have to be.
Yeah.
Anonymous.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
They'd have been out today. They don't have to put in a notice they're leaving. One of the staffers says outsiders to Biden Inner Circle and Network are often left out. Additionally, staffers say they have been left out of certain events, while staffers from around the Capitol are invited in their stead into a lottery system used to decide who comes to certain gatherings. And those gatherings are, official gatherings like lighting the trees and all that kind of stuff, which occasionally you take, you get some staffers to always to go to, job well done. Yeah. Apparently they're left out so they can get other people in the system to go to those official things, and staffers are ignored. Well, that's going to create
a little bit of animus there.
A little bit, and granted, it's a job and you're not supposed to go those things, but those, I guess traditionally there's always been a lottery system of we're going to pick 5 or pick some. I don't know how they do it. I have no idea, but apparently that's not being done anymore. That and all the popularity sinking, they don't see the need to stay. So they're going to be some shakeup. We'll see. Now, we've been reading or hearing more about Harris. And some of her staffers are coming forward, and apparently she's cruel. Like doesn't attend meetings to get briefings, refuses briefings, and then screams that they didn't give her one.
Yeah.
Not the leadership style that I'd want to be around. Well, if that's true. Of course, we heard a lot about Hillary Clinton, the same thing. That people around Hillary didn't want to work anywhere around her.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't know if you saw it. There was a thing that they're talking. Hillary's wanting to run for president again.
Well, I heard it was even stronger. I heard she's begging.
They say that she's really after the Democratic Party to hey, give me another shot here.
Somehow, I don't think that's even going to happen from the Democrat Party. But
I don't think so either.
But they've got nobody. I mean, who would be the replacement for Biden? Pick one. I mean, Nancy, Schumer, Hillary, Harris.
Definitely not Nancy. Schumer probably would not want to give up what he has in New York.
He wouldn't do well.
But on a national level, they don't really have anybody on the national level.
Well, yeah, but like, and I think it was Edward. I had him on the phone the other day, not on air, I think, but he called me at the office and said something. Well, nobody heard of Obama up until the president run. Nobody heard of Jimmy Carter. They came out of nowhere.
Obama gave a speech at a convention at the convention 4 years before that elevated him. But you're right. Nobody. And if you get down to qualifications, there was a guy who had absolutely none.
Yeah. Well, Harris only had a couple years in the Senate, and she spent most of that campaigning for president.
Yes.
She really has none. Still has none.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I don't know who the Democrats have on the national level.
I don't know. There's got to be somebody. And I was watching.
Bernie.
No,
and they'll do anything to keep him out of it. Plus, he's older than dirt. He's older than I am, I think. so he's out of it.
But I was watching a documentary or a show on it, and they were looking at the governors, the Democrat governors, and there's no standout there either. And, we've got quite a few standouts on the Republican side. They get national attention and do some things, but not on the Democrat side. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Maybe I missed part of it in the last couple of seconds, but you were just mentioned something about governors. What about Newsom?
I don't know. You think Newsom would be a good candidate, Mel?
Yeah, but Newsom, California?
Well, I don't.
Yeah, I don't. I was going to say.
No.
I was going to say, I mean, I overlook it because I think he's terrible, but he beat out the recall. Man, that's a scary thought. Why are you scaring me like that this morning? But I didn't even think about him.
What I was thinking is I would never have chosen Biden.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their thinking is like, but it just occurred to me that he's kind of. I always thought he was being groomed.
Yes, I agree with you. I think he was. I think he was being groomed. Maybe that didn't stop after the recall and all that. He won all that, and now that Cuomo is on the rocks, because they saw him as the next front runner. He was the guy.
He was one. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I got the distinct impression in the last couple of months that they've been trying to clean him up.
Oh, Cuomo or Newsom?
No, Newsom.
Yeah, I think so. I think they have been. And you know what? I've kind of ignored it since the recall, but you're right. He came through that, and he seems to have not missed a beat on, strong arm in that state. Wow.
Well, his last comment was something about he wanted to be like Texas.
I don't remember that, but do like Texas in what? Controlling the border, or do like Texas in? Oh, I know about abortions. It was something about do with abortion. He wants to do with guns that they did with abortions. That's right.
Yeah,
okay.
That was it. Yeah.
All right.
Which is kind of anti-liberal.
Well, I think everything they've done is more progressive, anti-liberal. I don't think liberal and progressive are the same thing, but they've turned it into liberal is progressive. But
oh, okay.
I think the terminology is changing so much; it's hard to keep track of.
I want to do a little OG.
Okay.
I'm 80 years old.
Okay, that's actually well done.
In fact, I'm 5 to 6 months older than OG, so I may not know all the details because he's really good. I have to admit, he's good at history. He does his homework.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, I got something better than him. I can see the future. Now, that's a gift, and that was given to me when I was really young. You know what I mean?
I'm fortunate to have you on now. I got 2 OGs.
Okay. Well, you have a good day.
You too, sir.
You too, Mel.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. Not a great impersonation of OG.
Yeah.
He's old enough to know more than us. But that was a great comment on Newsom. You know what? My brain just doesn't go to Newsom anymore. But he would be
what's going on.
One of noteworthiness.
Yeah, that's true. But what's going on in California?
Yeah.
Would be awfully hard to defend. as a candidate. I would think.
I thought him running for governor. It was hard to defend what he did to San Francisco.
That's correct.
And they elected him in.
And they still he got in there again.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he beat the recall somehow. I don't know how much of that, but you mentioned Hillary Clinton is begging, and she's wanted to be considered, and she's this article is not Miranda Devine writes about it. She's not positive on it. She's her masterclass in self-pity and delusion is what she and it is self-pity. Look at and Kamala Harris and her a lot like, in fact, Hillary feels sorry for her, says, well, of course, because she's a woman, she's getting well, how many vice presidents you know that are treated well? I mean, who was that vice president under the first Bush? Was brilliant guy. Arizona, he lives here in Arizona. But he was beat up continuously. And he's a white male. You know, he's supposed to have, a head up there that he doesn't get picked on because he can't remember the vice president. Gosh, vice president. You'll know as soon as you see it. But yeah, look it up, Mel. But she writes, I think it tells you more about the state of the Democratic Party than it does about poor America. That they are even considering Hillary Clinton, that she isn't just being laughed out of school for popping her head up above the parapet, from so desperately and so obviously having a hand up and saying, pick me, take me. The master class, so-called, that she gave the other day, that people pay $20 a month to watch, is which she read her undelivered victory speech and then cried at the end of it with no real tears. That was her begging the American
Dan
people.
Quayle.
Dan Quayle, yeah. You think Dan Quayle was treated any better than Kamala Harris? Of course not. He was treated worse. And she's complaining because she's a black woman. She gets treated poorly as a vice president. You get treated poorly as a vice president because you're an idiot. and you're not prepared. Dan Quayle was prepared. But the press just was after him, and he was vulnerable. But American people are begging the Democratic Party to look at her as the alternative to Joe Biden, because after all, she is younger than him. Yeah, by about a day or two. So, I don't know. It's going to be a nightmare, and really, the subtext is that Hillary Clinton, who was so narrowly cheated out of victory against Donald Trump in 2016, only she can save America, and that is her shtick. She won't stop. She will do it until her last breath. She wants to vindicate herself. I think that was well written. It wasn't me. It was this Miranda Devine. Great job. And yeah, I guess we haven't heard the last of Hillary Clinton. She's as memory fades on how terrible she was, I guess she's standing up to say, you should have picked me.
Yeah.
Here's my wonderful victory speech and all that kind of stuff. Now to where it's you have to pick me anyway.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
she's
gonna
giving.
hear more
And
from
you're
her.
right. She is giving her victory speech.
She did.
And they're talking. They say, my, what a wonderful bit of statesmanship is being exhibited here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Dan Quayle was treated much worse
Yeah.
than Kamala. Kamala Harris has been given cover. She's in charge of the border. Now, you never see any reports about her being beat up on, hey, when are you going to get down here and fix this thing, like the press should be doing.
Dan Quayle's biggest sin was adding the E on potato.
Well, and to his defense, the cue card they gave him at that school had it spelled like that.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Well, actually, and if you look in the dictionary, it is an
Spelled,
archaic.
yeah.
It is an archaic spelling. It's
Right.
It's legitimate, but it is no longer in use.
And I remember that well. It is legitimate, but that school gave it to him on a cue card, so he got beat, and he still gets beat up over it. In fact, that's the one thing you remember about Dan Quayle. His name misspelled potato.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, I think he was set up. He was given that card. Here's how you spell it.
Yeah.
And then the kid spelled it, and then he said, no, it's just spelled with an E. And he became a laughing stock, and he never got over that.
Yeah. Even though it was a legitimate spelling.
Yes. And it's what he was. It's the card the school gave him and said, this is what the kids have learned or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he was going with it.
Yeah.
And poor Dan Quayle.
Yeah.
Well, actually, was a big guy. I mean, he is a bright guy, but I think he lives in Phoenix.
He was in the Phoenix area, I believe.
Yeah, he lives up there somewhere. I got to talk a little bit about Christmas because it's tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
It's tomorrow.
Getting here soon.
Top Christmas movies. I guess there was an article. That comes out quite a bit.
Yeah.
Top Christmas movies. And everyone has a different list. You know, you can look out there what the top are. There's not a consensus pretty much on top Christmas movies, but most of them have one that's at the top. Do you know what it is?
What it is?
What do you think would be the top most? Most picked.
There are people now who are pushing for Die Hard, which does not make it as far as I'm concerned.
And there's a question.
But yeah. No, that It's a Wonderful Life is one of them.
That is the one that's most picked as the first and as the top.
And I think quite frankly, A Christmas Carol, the version done with George C. Scott as Scrooge,
1951.
It was outstanding. Because it followed the book almost exactly.
On this list I've got, and I've got it. I didn't print every one of them, but on this list is number 3 is the Christmas Carol. Number 2 was Die Hard. So you've picked the top 3. Yeah. You just didn't know you picked Die Hard.
Well, I do not consider Die Hard a Christmas movie. I'm sorry.
And you know why it was a Christmas movie?
Because it came out.
Well, it was a Christmas theme. It was the reason that Die Hard, had to win the day, or Bruce Willis had to win the day, is because it was Christmas.
Yeah.
And all the cops were off, and the normal security was down. They were having a Christmas party, and some terrorists took over the Christmas party.
Right.
So it was a Christmas movie because terrorists took over the Christmas party.
Right.
Yeah. So
I do not consider Die Hard as. I'm sorry.
Well, you don't have to.
Good.
But many do.
Yes.
So forgive them, Mel. That's part of your food.
And like I say, the George C. Scott version of Christmas Carol is outstanding.
That was listed as number 3.
And
on this one, and this one was the top 100 movies of all time by IMDb, the movie people. But Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer from 1964 was number 4 on this list. I remember watching it many times. I know I did. I mean, I haven't seen it pop up in a lot of years, though. I didn't know.
Well, it's on. If you're a TV, it's on the television.
It's a kids one, of course. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which I'm very happy that made the top 10. That was number 5. It was hilarious. Home Alone, which was a Christmas movie. Again, like Die Hard.
I would imagine. What is Holiday Inn or White Christmas? Is Holiday Inn? Wasn't that the name of the movie that White Christmas was in?
No, it's not. I forget the name of it. Let me see. I had it here a minute ago. God, I don't even see it in the top 10 right now on this list. And I can't believe it's... wow. How did that get knocked down? That was one of my favorites for a White Christmas. That was Bing Crosby and those guys. Yeah, if you find it, let me know. But number 6 was Home Alone, A Christmas Story from 1940. Ralphie, that's A Christmas Story.
Yes.
Oh, it was done in the 1940s. It was 1983. Yeah, the whole you're going to put an eye out with that.
Shoot your eye out. Yeah.
Put an eye out. That's a thing everybody remembers about A Christmas Story. Great one. A Miracle on 34th Street, of course, deserves to be in there. Elf, number 9. That's my daughter's favorite. Elf, 2003 comedy. Gremlins, which I forgot about. Gremlins, that was a Christmas deal. Bad Santa, which was a number 11. I actually liked it. And then Scrooged, which was. That classic.
It's was
redone as
a remake of
a
Christmas
classic.
Carol, right?
Yeah, Christmas Carol. Actually, it was well done though. Yeah. I liked Scrooge. It was hilarious. Edward Scissorhands, which I did not know was a Christmas movie. Yeah, that was a weird movie. Trading Places. Well,
yeah,
I wouldn't have listed it as a Christmas movie, but it was. And the Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
You talk about Trading Places. I'm still wondering what happened to the fellow that they locked in the gorilla suit.
I don't know.
He was shipped off to Africa.
That's right. He was shipped off to Africa. I forgot about that. Nightmare Before Christmas, which was a cartoon, and well done, 17. The Shop Around the Corner.
Was that Judy Garland?
James Stewart.
James Stewart and Judy Garland.
I don't see that, no. Frank Morgan, Joseph Skilrock, I don't know. Doesn't have Judy Garland in it.
Okay, well, I'm trying to think. There was one.
Number 19, Happiest Season. A Charlie Brown Christmas, number 20. And The Christmas Chronicles from 2018. I don't even know that movie.
No, neither.
21, so some of those have moved up. So what was the one that had the White Christmas?
Holiday Inn, I believe, was the name of the movie. I'm not.
I don't even see it in here. Some of these, Batman Returns is a Christmas movie? I guess so. How the Grinch Stole Christmas finally comes in at 28. And a lot of these, I just don't know them. The Polar Express, there we go. The Polar Express, number 34. Now, when they did the top Christmas movies, somebody did a top Christmas movie per state. Polar Express came the top movie in Arizona, according to some, and somebody does polls. I don't remember. I don't think I've watched the entire Polar Express. But Home Alone was a top in many states. The Grinch was a top in many states. Die Hard was a top in many states. Elf, even in a few states, was popular in states. But I imagine a lot of people will be watching Christmas shows tonight, Christmas movies.
Yeah.
White Christmas, that's what it was. White Christmas.
Well, Holiday Inn was.
That wasn't the
in 1942.
Okay, it was 1954 when Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, and Vera Allen did White Christmas, which those songs came from. And they list that as number 37 here. I thought that would have been higher up on the charts. I thought it would have been way up there. Anyway, I got to take a break. We'll be right back. AM 560, KBLU.
Do you hear what I hear? I hear new Fords are revving and people craving the new fall lineup of trucks. Bronco, Maverick, Raptor, Super Duty, Ranger, Explorer, Expedition, Escape. They're all here at Alexander Ford with seasonal savings and interest rates as low as 0% for up to 60 months. Want mobile service? We will come to you. Ho, ho, ho. We'll waive the convenience fee through January 2nd. How about some new tires, battery, or brakes for Christmas? Take 10% off and use your Ford Pass Rewards points to make that trip to Grandma's house a good one. Voted Yuma's best new car dealer in 2020. Please vote for us again this year. Bill Alexander Ford. Difference you can count on.
At Yuma Investment Group Wealth Management, they believe they manage money for their clients differently from many other advisors in Yuma. Their way works in close alignment with their clients' goals. Yuma Investment Group is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor. When it comes to helping clients pursue a comfortable retirement, they're clearly different. Visit yumainvestmentgroup.com and find out why investors switch to them. Investment advisory services offered through CWM LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Play at Kokopah Casino and Resort in December and see if you are naughty or nice. One winner every half hour has a chance to take home up to $3,500 in rewards play or cold hard cash. Drawings are every Sunday and Wednesday from 4 to 9 p.m. Earn entries daily by playing your favorite slots or table games with your rewards card. Get a little naughty or a little nice every Wednesday and Sunday in December at Kokopah. See the Rewards Club for details. We love our locals at Kokopah Casino, South Highway 95 in Somerton.
With COVID-19 still looming, your holiday season might be more stress than cheer. CalHope can help with free emotional support. Call 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org today.
Be sure to listen Sunday afternoon from noon to 2 for the radio show that talks about all things real estate with award-winning broadcaster Stephen Gasquet. It's everything you need to know about your home, from buying and selling. Brought to you by PhD. When your home needs a professional home doctor, call PhD 344-911-1.
Bill Alexander, Flightline Mazda Mitsubishi wishes everyone in the Yuma community a Merry Christmas filled with love, light, and great time spent with friends and family. At Bill Alexander Flightline Mazda Mitsubishi, we're proud to serve our friends and neighbors by providing new and pre-owned vehicles, as well as world-class service. So enjoy your Christmas, relax, eat some amazing food, and celebrate the season with the ones you love most.
And don't forget the spiked eggnog.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Bill Alexander Flightline Mazda Mitsubishi.
Hi, I'm Russell McLeod with Accurate Automotive Attention.
And I'm Carrie Tater with Arizona's Children's Association. For children entering foster care, it's a very traumatic time, especially in emergency situations. That's where ASCA comes in. We want to provide them with a suitcase to carry their belongings instead of a usual trash bag. Imagine the difference to their self-esteem.
You are probably wondering what this has to do with Accurate Automotive. Please drop off a new or used suitcase to either of our locations. Imagine the difference you can make in these kids' lives.
Homeowners who have not refinanced are leaving a ton of money on the table. Make sure you're not one of them. It just takes a quick call to American Financing, America's home for home loans. You'll get a free no-obligation mortgage review. No pressure, no upfront or hidden fees. Just a simple conversation around ways you can save up to $1,000 a month, all without starting your term over. That's right, they can do any term 10 years and over. And you may be able to postpone 2 mortgage payments, creating even greater upfront savings. Imagine what you can do with that money. Then pick up the phone and call American Financing. They're open now, and they're open nights and weekends, so they're always available when you need them. 800-777-8109. That's 800-777-8109. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net. American Financing, NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa. AM 560 KBLU. Russ Clark back with you. It's Friday morning, December 24th. Kind of like Christmas Eve morning.
Something like that.
Something like that. Most people are, sane people are sleeping in now. Some of us have to go to work. And I didn't have to, I guess. I've always, what else am I going to do? Just come on in. AOC confronts Bill Braxton. Bill Braxton's, he's a former police officer. And Bill Braxton's been vocal about the decline of New York City. Mm-hmm. And that decline's huge. And let me tell you, and
it's been relatively quick. Too.
It has been relatively quick. Now, I remember going to New York City when I was in high school. In high school, back in the early 70s, mid-70s, I'd go to New York City for school even. We had school outings where we would go, a senior trip would be to New York City to see a play. Mm-hmm. It was not unusual. But it was dangerous at the time, and it was messy, and they'd have to make sure the kids were on the bus, and we got out of town pretty quickly because the streets changed at night. And I took friends up there in 1976 or so, out of the Air Force Academy, 77. We drove up there, and it was. And I remember standing in Times Square and horseback police officers riding around, and then somebody come by and try to sell you a watch, another guy come by and try to sell you weed. It was a circus. And I took a lot of Air Force cadets. My friend was in the Air Force Academy, Donald Jurwitz. Was in the Air Force Academy, and he had friends that came up, and we took 7, 8, 9 of them or something in 3 cars, and we drove up for a day at New York, and it was a circus. I mean, it was. I didn't feel uneasy around these guys. These guys take care of themselves, and we weren't going to be in any trouble. There were bigger targets than us, better targets, but it wasn't safe. It wasn't a time I'd go on the subways.
Yeah,
and feel safe. And then Giuliani cleaned it up. And I know when I was on the hospital board 10 years ago or so, I'd go back to New York every year with my wife, and in November, ride the subways, go to the plays, feel safe on the streets. Everything was great. And now I wouldn't go. If someone says, I'm going to go to New York, I'd say no.
Yeah,
I'm not going to New York.
Yeah, not without a battalion of bodyguards.
No, and you'd have to wear a mask everywhere you go. You'd have to have your card with you to show in every restaurant that I'm qualified to be in a restaurant, and and their criminals have taken over. No, I'm not going there. Well, Bill Braxton writes about it. And he says, you know why New York recovery isn't happening? And he showed photos of an E-train at 6:45 a.m., 42nd Street and 8th. And the photo shows a lot of probably homeless, bid-rattled subway riders in various stages of consciousness, sprawled out on the seats and stuff like that early in the morning. Now, that didn't happen during Giuliani. That wasn't happening because I got on the subways at that time, and they were clean. I still remember there was some guys talking loud and joking and saying stuff that was rude or crude or something on a subway, and this older black lady walked over to them, stuck a finger in his face, says, "Would your mama be proud of what just came out of your mouth?" And I thought, oh no, I don't want to be here. and the kids apologized. I was like shocked. I was like,
wow, yeah,
wow, that's wonderful. You know,
yeah.
I don't know if that would happen today. Some lady'd probably get pushed down, but that one surprised me in New York.
Yeah.
But that happened just not too long ago. It didn't take long to decline. And Bill Braxton points that out about why would working people and tourists be subject to this? How's it fair to those who need service? Imagine the cops' frustration with no support to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's a former New York City police commissioner. And he claimed that the new mayor-elect, Eric Adams, who is also a former New York City police captain, and his recently police commissioner, Keechant Sewell, have their work cut out for them trying to fix this mess. He says, we fixed this 30 years ago when Eric Adams was a transit cop. And it's going to take a lot more difficulty in 2022. Who has gone on to become a Homeland Security advisor to 3 presidents? Ocasio-Cortez didn't like his comments.
Well,
because he's racist, of course.
Too bad.
Yeah.
So the truth sometimes hurts.
He says, I will truly never adjust to how normal it is for our country to completely dehumanize people once they fall below a certain income. She was frustrated, saying that she said that Braxton talked to them like they were furniture or animals. And because he pointed out that this ragtag rumble was taking up the subway cars, which they're not going anywhere.
No.
They're just finding a place that's warmer or something, I guess. Now she had a Twitter message as a vote of sympathy for the police officers. Of course, they're frustrated. It's not policing job or purpose to address housing, provide housing care, counseling, to solve reasons people sleep on the subway. Maybe if we shifted that $11 billion a year spent on robo-dogs to housing services, we could get somewhere. Well, if you spend $11 billion on the year, and that's the entire police budget, by the way. That's 100% of the budget.
Yes.
So she's about defunding the police. And she calls it robo-dogs or whatever. Well, they do have a couple of robo-dogs. They paid $94,000 for a contract to lease these things.
Yes.
Not the whole budget.
Yes.
I guess she was referring to all the police officers as robo-dogs.
Yeah. Well,
but that's
not surprising, though, because she has a total lack of respect for them anyway.
For everybody. So that's what you get when you get the ex-New York police commissioner coming forward saying, this is a mess. We need to clean it up.
Yeah.
And he gets attacked by an elected official
who doesn't have a clue as to what she's doing.
She doesn't have a clue, but she's saying she's basically saying defund the police, just get them some housing, everything will be beautiful.
Yeah.
No, it won't.
No. Well,
that won't change anything.
She's totally out of touch with the real world anyway.
No.
It's unfortunate that the people in New York would even elect somebody like that. But.
And I'm not against housing to help. We got some housing available here in Yuma. And as a county supervisor, that was one of the first things I wanted to visit. I wanted to visit the housing because we have a big housing complex down in Somerton area that is controlled by the county, and it is housing for people that need help. Well, it was wonderful. I went down there and spent better part of a day seeing what they do, and part of the lease agreement, which is free, is that once you make money, you have to pay a portion. And the idea is you have to be working, you have to have applicants, you have to take classes, and if you haven't had the classes, you need to take the classes and become a responsible citizen and do all that. And they monitor all that. And that's part of the conditions of living. Now, if they do that kind of housing, yeah, we'd have a better country.
Sure.
If they did that everywhere.
Make them earn what they're getting.
Right. And if they get a job, they've got to pay a portion of that until they get back 100%, and then they got to move.
Yeah.
We'll be back. It's the top of the hour. AM 560. Yeah, it is. KBLU.
Greeting cards have all been sent. The Christmas rush is through. But I still have one wish to make.
From the 1 Hour Air Conditioning and Heating Studio, this is
News Talk 560 KBLU, Yuma. Omicron is flying high. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and that is keeping some travelers grounded. As the new COVID variant spikes up cases, it's holding up holiday plans. FlightAware reports more than 2,000 flights are canceled globally, 456 of them in the U.S. or to and from here. Fox's Evan Brown has more live.
Yeah, Dave, both Delta and United say they've canceled hundreds of flights today, not because of a Christmas Eve blizzard, but because COVID cases among staff and the rules about who can or can't work are causing staffing shortages. Overseas, Lufthansa is having the same troubles. Both the UK and Spain are easing quarantine durations to allow for more airline workers to get back on the job to ease that problem, something Delta's CEO is now begging U.S. regulators to do. Dave?
Evan, Omicron's spread led to 261,000 COVID cases in the U.S. yesterday, 3,300 deaths. In some areas like New York, there have been hours-long lines for testing.
The White House, meantime, is scrambling to keep up with demand for COVID tests, which is through the roof right now. But a report in Vanity Fair claims the White House rejected a proposal weeks ago to distribute at-home test kits before the holidays. And another report in the New York Times says the president's announcement of new tests came without even having a completed contract to buy them.
Fox's Doug Luzader, a horror story out of Los Angeles where a 14-year-old was killed accidentally. She was hit by a stray bullet while in a clothing store dressing room as police were trying to stop someone else.
Police went after the suspect who was at the time assaulting a female who has been taken to the hospital with wounds to her head and arms.
Susan Hirasuna with LA's Fox 11 TV. That suspect was also shot dead. In Oak Brook, Illinois, in suburban Chicago, there was a shooting in a mall, sending people running. One person injured in that chaos. 3 were shot and wounded. 2 suspects in custody. America's listening to Fox News.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider and are only available if the provider determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And Hims makes it extra affordable. You pay just $30 for a month's supply. And right now, get your first online doctor's visit totally free when you go to 4hims.com/joy. That's right, free. 0 copay, no expensive appointments, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to doctors online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. And a pharmacy sends it right to your door. Hims makes it affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to. And that's really good news. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/joy.
Here's the news in 60 seconds. YumaDailyNews.com. Yuma Fire have saved the ocean-to-ocean bridge from a recent transient fire underneath it. Officials believe the fire was human-made. No suspects have been reported. Yuma police have put out a fireworks advisory. The department says the law allows for the public to possess or use novelty-type fireworks. However, many fireworks are illegal in Arizona. A list is available at YumaDailyNews.com. Arizona had the most hate crimes since 9/11 last year. The latest numbers from the FBI show Arizona reported 282 hate crimes in 2020, continuing a rising trend from 2019 and one of the highest totals in the past 30 years. San Luis police have sent out a holiday message to the community. The department says that it will be out in force, conducting DUI and step enforcement. Police officials are trying to reduce the number of car accidents that result in injury or fatalities in the area. Follow us on Facebook, Yuma Daily News. For now, that's the news. Merry Christmas. I'm Andrew Caravella.
Hi, I'm Russell McLeod with Accurate Automotive Attention.
And I'm Carrie Tater with Arizona's Children's Association. For children entering foster care, it's a very traumatic time, especially in emergency situations. That's where ASCA comes in. We want to provide them with a suitcase to carry their belongings instead of a usual trash bag. Imagine the difference to their self-esteem.
You are probably wondering what this has to do with Accurate Automotive. Please drop off a new or used suitcase to either of our locations. Imagine the difference you can make in these kids' lives.
Mickey B's Cocktail Lounge has a new look because they have new ownership. Come celebrate to live entertainment and
dance to your favorite oldies or country. If singing is your thing, karaoke every Monday and Wednesday, 6 p.m. till 10. Mickey B's is a supporter of our local veterans. So mark an appointment on your calendar to join in. Bring a friend or the whole office. Mickey B's opens 10 a.m. daily. 12635 South Frontage Road.
Play at Kokopah Casino and Resort in December and see if you are naughty or nice. One winner every half hour has a chance to take home up to $3,500 in rewards play or cold hard cash. Drawings are every Sunday and Wednesday from 4 to 9 p.m. Earn entries daily by playing your favorite slots or table games with your rewards card. Get a little naughty or a little nice every Wednesday and Sunday in December at Kokopah. See the Rewards Club for details. We love our locals at Kokopah Casino, South Highway 95 in Somerton.
And you better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout, I'm telling you why.
AM 560 KBLU. Russ Clark back with you. Mel's in studio.
Yes, sir.
Hyundai of Yuma. Go visit that veteran-owned business out there on 32nd Street. If not today, then afterwards. You know, they got that big military truck out there. I don't know, that big, huge truck that... Just a reminder, veteran-owned business, and I know Abe bought that thing. I imagine just for parades and just as a show truck. I don't know what something like that costs, but I imagine they got it cheaper than it was new. New, I think the military spends a lot for them.
Yes.
But definitely a car company I've enjoyed working with throughout the years, and I've done some great things in Yuma. They're definitely Yuma-based. They support Yuma programs. And you need support them. Go take a test drive and let me know what you think. The January 6th committee, which is a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind investigations. I don't mind those kind of things. You know, and that's fine. I think we should investigate it. That's no big deal. But this is not a real investigation. This is about what can we do to hurt Trump.
Well, it's just like the... what was the big investigation into the Russia collusion?
Yeah,
the Mueller investigation.
Yeah,
it wasn't really an investigation either. It was just a bunch of guys looking for
how to hurt Trump. Because if it was, you know, the whole thing about the dossier would have been exploded.
Yeah.
You know, now we all know it was a fake now, and we all know the Hillary Clinton paid for it. But how come these people didn't go?
And when they found out that when it was made public, nothing happened to the people who were guilty. Nothing.
They did it.
Yes.
Well, the January 6th committee, there's only 9 of them, and apparently it was scheduled to be more. Nancy Pelosi cut it down because she didn't want more Republicans on it. Now, of course, McCarthy, who is the minority leader, recommended some Republicans to be on the panel, and they were rejected, Mel.
Mm-hmm.
So Nancy picked her own Republicans because McCarthy says, well, then we'll just withdraw, you know. So Nancy picked Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, both of them Trump haters. And so it's definitely got a flair that we're going to prove that Trump was behind this thing. I guess that was the whole deal. Not we're going to investigate what happened. Because if they investigate what happened, we'll find out that that young lady that was killed, you know, and we're getting more release now as far as photos and what really happened there. There was no warning. There was nothing. The guy just came around the corner, shot her in the neck, and withdrew.
Yeah.
You know, there was nothing, and there were no charges filed. I mean, he just shot an unarmed woman for no reason.
Yep.
And then some police officers stood over and just watched her die, and that was it.
Yeah.
And that's the only Well, I guess there's 2 now because Dean told me there was 2.
Yeah.
That's one of 2 violent deaths from January 6th. The rest were heart attacks, strokes, or whatever. But there was 2 violent deaths, both of them by police officers.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
No police died of violent death. There was a policeman that died of a stroke, and they said it was a violent death. They lied about it to dress it up. Well, this panel's put together. Now they're requesting that the Supreme Court release some stuff out of the National Archives having to do with Donald Trump. Look, they have more information available than anybody. They've got all the tapes of everything that happened. They could look at literally every step of everything that happened, that entire thing. They're not interested in that.
No.
They're not interested in what the police did, what the people did, none of it, which is really, we should know what happened. I mean,
there's no question of that.
Yeah.
But
that's not what we're going to get from these guys.
No, because what they're gonna find out is it doesn't fit the narrative that they want to put out.
Right, and they say that Trump caused them to go make a rush. Well, if you go back and listen to his speech, he says, march peacefully, and let them know what you think or whatever. But and then they said, well, that was code word for create an overthrow of the government.
Right.
Well, well, show me where that's code work. So they can't find anything or looking. They want to go to the National Archives. Now, I guarantee you, whatever they get into, it's going to be nothing to do with January 6th. But we didn't find anything on that, but we found this. Something else to investigate is what it'll be, so that there's an endless investigation.
Well, and the thing is, when they do get to the bottom of it and they find out if it doesn't fit what they want, they're just going to say, well, that's it. Hopefully it dies out. It's just like the Mueller thing,
Yeah,
they found out that they knew the genesis of that report,
right?
And when it did not, when it became public, it just was allowed to just sort of fade away into the distance
because there was nothing in there except exonerate Trump.
Well, and the other thing was it would have caused charges if they had really done something.
Caused charges against
the Democrat. Against Hillary Clinton,
FBI and CIA and others
and all of them,
and some of them.
And that was the other thing; they all colluded together.
They did.
They all colluded together to put up this false narrative,
right?
And our intelligence community is totally guilty in this thing.
Of course,
our intelligence community, our press community, all of them. They colluded together,
right,
to come up with this false story
because they didn't like him.
And then once it became pretty obvious that was the case, they said, well, we'll just let it fade away and die.
And now they're doing the same thing.
And now we're doing the same thing with this.
It won't stop for him. I mean, they're just going to keep doing it as long as they have opportunities.
That's right.
Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Russ.
Well, good morning. How are you, sir?
So far, so good. Question: what if they made a deal? We'll release the stuff they're asking for this massive investigation that's just totally almost destroyed our country.
Right.
If they'll release the information as to why on earth the FBI had drones in Kenosha.
Why the FBI had drawn what now?
Had drones flying in Kenosha.
Drones. Oh. Yeah.
Why were the FBI in places they ought not to be?
That is interesting. Of course, those drones helped out a lot because they gave a true picture of whatever was going on. That's why Rittenhouse got off. But yeah, the question is, why were they there? Is exactly right.
Why were they spying on Americans?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, it worked out in our favor. Okay, that's fine. But you don't see the FBI flying drones, or at least that I know of, everywhere.
I guarantee you,
and if so,
they have that at the Capitol too. January 6th, there was cameras everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would make sense in one sense.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's covering the Capitol, it's protecting the presidency, it's protecting the seat of government.
Sure, you don't even need drones; those are fixed cameras. They got cameras everywhere in that place. I guarantee you that footage is going to disappear, though. We'll never see it.
Well,
it's going to be accidentally erased. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's got to be a paper trail as to who authorized these things.
Doesn't matter. No one ever gets caught because it goes through so many levels of AIDS, and they don't even know. I mean, Epstein died, and and nobody was on duty. That should never happen. It was required to have 2 people on duty, but nobody got axed over that either. He just hung himself.
Things happen. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I think you're exactly right. I think we should get all of that stuff, and we should get all the tapes. We should get everything. Unfortunately, this deep state is so powerful that they bury stuff. But we need to keep demanding it, and we need to keep asking. I appreciate the call.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
You bet.
Yeah, they'll just run another investigation, and when it's inconclusive, they'll just investigate that investigation and keep going until the general public has a memory about as long as a rooster's whatever, and so they'll forget about it, and that's what they're hoping with in this case.
Well, that's typical though. That's what happens.
That's what,
had the stuff come out about the Mueller report 2 years earlier, it would have made a big difference. No, it came out when it didn't make a big difference.
Yeah.
Because it gave him 2 years to keep saying speculation, like, well, I've got something like Avenatti. I've got something that's going to put Trump in jail tomorrow. Every day they said that.
The whole thing was that actually, look, they spent millions of dollars, and quite frankly, time that could have been spent doing something good for the country was diverted away in defending something that did not need to be defended.
They wanted to destroy Trump at all costs, and it didn't matter what it cost the taxpayers. It doesn't matter. And then they undid all the stuff he did positively for the economy, for jobs. They've trashed it, and even for the border and all of that, and they've propped up China. They've propped up Russia, and Trump had them where they belong as far as just a level playing field.
Yes.
And now they've given them advantage on everything, taken away our oil reserves. Taking away the oil, the independence, energy independence, which we don't have now.
Which we don't have anymore.
And
right.
Prices will pay huge prices next year. This year
we're paying huge prices for everything now.
Yes. Yeah, it's all going
what
up.
it costs to transport goods across this country nowadays. The trucks are still
ridiculous.
The one of the number one means of getting things across the country, and
you know who actually is most innovative guy to help with that? Elon Musk. And he's the one they hate the most.
He's the one that they're really trashing.
They trash him regularly because he's so far ahead of all the union operations of General Motors and Ford.
If he'd sit there and go union, they'd love him.
Yeah, but then he couldn't do the things he's doing.
But exactly, it would limit what he was able to do. That's right.
I mean, his people are shareholders. You know, his employees. They don't want to be union.
Yeah.
You can't blame them. They're innovative. They work hard. They take care of business, and they get
reimbursed well.
Yeah, they do better than if they were a union.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll be back. AM 560.
Do you hear what I hear? I hear new Fords are revving and people craving the new fall lineup of trucks. Bronco, Maverick, Raptor, Super Duty, Ranger, Explorer, Expedition, Escape. They're all here at Alexander Ford with seasonal savings and interest rates as low as 0% for up to 60 months. Want mobile service? We will come to you. Ho, ho, ho. We'll waive the convenience fee through January 2nd. How about some new tires, battery, or brakes for Christmas? Take 10% off and use your Ford Pass Rewards points to make that trip to Grandma's house a good one. Voted Yuma's best new car dealer in 2020. Please vote for us again this year. Bill Alexander Ford. Difference you can count on.
In today's Ag Business Update from AgNet West, even with the current rain system covering over California, parts of the Southwest continue to be starved for precipitation. We'll find out more after the break.
AgNet West Radio Network, your trusted agriculture news provider for the state of Arizona. Stay up to date with accurate local and national agriculture news on this station or by visiting us online at agnetwest.com. Get even more connected by following us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching at AgNet West, and our team of Brian German at Brian German AgNet West and Danielle Leal with at D Leal AgNet West.
Some weather systems will soar across California over the next few days. However, other parts of the drought-stricken Southwest will continue to be shut off of much-needed precipitation. USDA's Stephanie Ho has comments from USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey in this report.
Precipitation is expected for many areas in the West, but not everywhere.
The one area of the West that continues to languish in terms of snow water equivalency and snowpack is the Southwest, particularly Arizona, eastward through the southern Rockies of New Mexico and southern Colorado.
USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey also notes that La Nina will affect these conditions.
That would continue to favor a drier than normal and warmer than normal pattern across that southern tier of the western U.S.
At the same time, he does expect drought relief in some western areas.
And as we close out 2021, it looks like a remarkably stormy pattern for much of the western U.S. Some of the heavier snow will not reach into the driest areas of the Southwest, unfortunately, but most other areas, and particularly across northern and central California through the Great Basin and throughout the Northwest, we expect to see multiple days of stormy weather.
Again, that was USDA's Stephanie Ho reporting, and I'm Danielle Leal for AgNet West Radio Network.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Dozens of infections on Royal Caribbean cruise ship. Wall Street closes higher. Those stories next. By now, you know that MyPillow doesn't have their box stores or any shopping channels any longer due to the cancel culture. Well, Mike Lindell is now passing along those savings directly to you. Right now, you can get the lowest price in the history of MyPillow for their classic standard MyPillow, regularly $69.98, now only $19.98 with promo code Dobbs. They also have queen-size pillows, regularly $79.98, now $24.98 with promo code Dobbs. MyPillow is not just pillows. They have over 150 products, everything from sleepwear to beds. And my promo code Dobbs also works on mystore.com and frankspeech.com. Go to mypillow.com or call 1-800-977-9152 and use promo code Dobbs to take advantage of Mike's special offer on his standard MyPillow. That's mypillow.com, promo code Dobbs, or 1-800-977-9152. This is not the way passengers wanted to spend their Christmas holidays. Dozens of people aboard a Royal Caribbean cruise ship have tested positive for the China virus. Cruise line officials reported today that 55 fully vaccinated passengers and crew members tested positive on the Odyssey of the Seas ship, which left Fort Lauderdale for an 8-night cruise. On Wall Street, stocks rallying, ending this holiday-shortened week higher today. The Dow up almost 200 points. The markets will be closed tomorrow in observance of Saturday's holiday, Christmas, and normal trading resumes Monday. A Louisiana oil and gas company is headed back to court trying to reinstate an oil lease canceled because it's on land that's supposedly sacred to an Indian tribe. Please join me 3 times each weekday for my updates. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Well, it sure is chilly out tonight.
Yeah, but it sure is warm by this fire.
AM 560, KBLU, Russ Clark with you, Mel's in studio.
Yes, sir.
It's, it's already 7:22.
Yeah, Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve morning. A phone number, Karen. I don't even know if she's still in town. Karen's the one that, told Gilbert, like, hey, what do you got to do to get Russ to give the number out? So, and then she introduced herself. Nice lady. So, 344-5258. 344-5258. Remember the 1619 Project?
Yes, vaguely.
Yeah, it's. I didn't really read the book on it or whatever, but I read enough of it, excerpts and stuff and news reports on it to know that it's a history they would have liked to have had happen.
Yes, yeah, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, it's a rewriting of what did happen, and they call what did happen a rewriting of history because this one's the real one, basically, even though there's no support material.
There's no support for it, right?
Yeah, Nicole Hannah Jones is the author of the 1619 Project, and for a while it started being promoted into schools and stuff, and it's been pushed back a lot. There's a lot of people pushing back against this thing because it said basically United States started in 1619 and they brought slaves over from Africa. Well, there's some truth in a little bit of that in that there were settlers.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the United States. It was not the United States. It didn't exist. It was England and Spain and some others that were over here, Portugal, by a little bit. And there were slaves because slaves were throughout the entire world. So there were slaves here too. It wasn't that there were slaves only here. It was slaves because England brought them or Spanish brought them. I don't know who all brought them, but
I would suggest that there are still slaves.
Yes, probably true.
In some areas of the world.
It's not traded on the public square anymore.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So this project author, Nicole Hannah-Jones, is still being heralded and lifted up by many as being the only one that tells the truth,
Mm-hmm.
Erica Hill, who's a fill-in host on CNN, had her on and asked, as you look at where we are right now, what do you stand to lose as a country by going down this road of banning books, by ignoring accurate history, and by vilifying people who are simply trying to make reading and history and accuracy available? And now what she's talking about banning books, she says Republicans are banning books.
Yes.
And I'll get to that in a minute. And that accuracy is what Hannah-Jones has to offer and not what's currently available. The written records of actually from the time that are not accurate.
But you see, the thing is, if you tell the lie and you keep telling the lie,
right,
it becomes the truth. And it's only going to take one or two generations, and the truth will be forgotten.
Can be, but there's been enough pushback, and I'm glad there is on this 1619 to say, look, this is nonsense.
Yes,
and Hill also referenced a question posed by Hannah-Jones, Associated Press, which said, well, we Americans are going to be severely tested for the next year or two to decide what are we willing to sacrifice to be the country that we believe that we are. As if this is the most important thing, that the 1619 be rewritten to where it was America, white supremacy that started slavery or something, which is all like, what? That's not even close to true. Those slaves, unfortunately, were prominent, all over, as unfortunately. Her answer to the question was, I don't know that our institutions are going to hold with the assaults that we are seeing on voting rights. So it's going into voting rights.
Yes.
On the attempts to ban books, on the memory laws, which we're calling anti-critical race laws. They're really anti-history laws. These are all meaning of stroking division and resentment, and I don't think we quite know where we're going to go after this moment. Now, I'm not against, I'm against banning any books, including hers. I don't care. Have it out there. But don't make it required reading at our high schools and stuff. That's ridiculous because it's fantasy.
Right.
And
it should be listed as such.
Yes,
or advertised as such. Right?
Yeah. And the claims that Republicans are banning books comes from Biden, actually. Mm-hmm. Biden accused Republican candidate Glenn Youngkin of wanting to ban books from libraries for political reasons. Now, Glenn Youngkin did want some books out of the library because they were sexually explicit.
Yeah. Pornographic in nature.
Yeah, not 1619 Project. Nobody said that. But that's what it turned into. Republicans banning books. We got proof. Yeah, that...
well, who is it that's banning Huckleberry Finn?
Yeah.
Who is it that's banning To Kill a Mockingbird?
Or Dr. Seuss.
Or Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
I know. It's not Republican.
No, never was. Hill brought up another quote from Hannah-Jones asking, you also noted in that interview that we need to really ask ourselves as journalists, storytellers, narrators, if we're ringing the alarm bell in the right way. So are we? What, ringing the alarm bell? What to rewrite something that is fantasy? If it's true, write the book. I don't care. Yeah. But to say now everyone has to read it and we're going to mandate it, kind of like mandate the jab. We have to mandate the 1619 Project book. It just creates division, hatred. It's ridiculous. She says, I think there are certainly political journalists and others who are trying to, but I think there are far too many of our profession who are really normalizing what's happening right now in an attempt to be or appear active. Now, in an attempt to say, well, we're going to treat both political parties equally, when we clearly have in this moment one political party that is passing anti-democratic policies, that is upholding people with authoritarianism ideas. And of course, she's making reference to Republicans as the anti, which is exactly the opposite. I mean, who's making mandates that you get fired from your job if you don't take a jab? Yeah. Is that authoritarianism? And anti-democratic? I mean, what is that? Changing all the voter laws at the last minute. That wasn't the Republicans.
No.
That was the Democrats
That's right.
that was doing all of that stuff. So if anything is fascist or socialist or authoritarianism or anti-democracy or republic, it's the Democrats. And they claim that the Republicans are because they didn't want a sexually explicit book in Virginia. That proves it.
Obviously.
This is ridiculous. She concluded, we are the firewall for this democracy. Yes. And we're a democratic republic, by the way, but this democracy. And I do not believe that firewall is holding right now. Because if their ideas aren't accepted as normal and by 100% at the tip of a gun, then
that's right.
And that's what it is. That's
exactly what it is. It's all we're being blackmailed into.
And that's what Howard talks about in the Constitution, that the Constitution was written to keep the government at bay, to keep it in control so it doesn't get out of control. Right now it's out of control. It's forcing us to do things. We're under martial law in most states.
But partly also, you got to remember, our government has not operated in accordance with the Constitution for a century.
Well, I think that's overstated. I think that's overstated.
We are being run by the bureaucracy. We're not being run by the...
I agree we're being run by the bureaucracy by default because we have weak leaders and we...
That's right.
But I don't think that's because the Constitution is completely being ignored. I don't believe that. I believe that, that's not. And Howard talks about, the Constitution never had this law. And I said, right, it only had laws. It only had writing in there that we were allowed to write laws, and that's what we did, Howard. Yes. And then he doesn't know what to say. Well, but he said, that's not what it was meant by the. I don't care what was meant. That's what they wrote. They wrote in the Constitution we can write laws, and that we can do amendments to the Constitution. So amendments were done. Laws have been written, and
but they're not being done in accordance with what the Constitution says and how there is a procedure that is supposed to be followed, and that procedure has not been followed.
Well, that would be disagreed by some, but I would agree with you that we have some bureaucracies that has been given too much power and it needs to be taken back.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't call it anti-constitutional. I don't believe that. I believe that we had the right to give them the power. We had the right to do a stupid, bureaucracy that wrote laws for us. But we also have that right to take it back. And I think that's what needs to happen. And the framework's there. And we just need good people to stand up and demand it. And the framework is there. And the Constitution exists, even if it's not followed to what we envisioned and not what we wanted. And some of the laws are ridiculous and stretch the boundaries. We need to get back. But that's possible. Trump had us on that track, and that scared the hell out of the bureaucracy and the deep state.
Well, that's it.
And it was going that direction to where he put the reins on.
The power's got to be taken away from the bureaucracy and put back in the Congress where it belongs.
Well, and we need to elect the right people to do it, and give new meaning to everything, to small government, and that's what scares us because government wants to grow, and that force was powerful enough to sink Donald Trump, even though he was doing the right things.
One of the main goals of a bureaucracy is growth of the bureaucracy.
I think so. We'll be right back. AM 560.
We've had some rain overnight. The rain continues for part of the morning, and then by later today, we're dry with some sunshine. Cooler temperatures today, 69 the high. Tomorrow, a mix of sun and clouds, 66 on Christmas Day. There is a lot of confusion about COVID-19, but one thing we know for sure, vaccines aren't enough. Check for fever, COVID's #1 symptom, with the Exergen temporal scanner, and learn more at Exergen.com. I'm meteorologist Terry Smith from the Weather Channel.
Weather is brought to you by Ed Whitehead's Tire Pros, with 4 locations to serve all of your tire needs.
RV World would like to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas. Listen for your border crossing reports each weekday morning and the road reports each afternoon. Brought to you by RV World. RV World located on Gila Ridge Road, exit Interstate 8 on Araby Road, then head west on Gila Ridge about a quarter mile.
Mickey B's Cocktail Lounge has a new look because they have new ownership. Come celebrate to live entertainment and dance to your favorite oldies or country. If singing is your thing, karaoke every Monday and Wednesday, 6 p.m. till 10. Mickey B's is a supporter of our local veterans. So mark an appointment on your calendar to join in. Bring a friend or the whole office. Mickey B's opens 10 a.m. daily, 12635 South Frontage Road.
Grown-ups devise a plan and follow it. Children do what feels good. Take responsibility for your family's future and get your estate in order. Call my friends Sean Garner and Adam Hansen, attorneys at the law firm of Deason, Garner, and Hansen. Sean and Adam believe in giving free education to help people make smart decisions about their assets and leave a legacy for their family that they can be proud of. Schedule a consultation today. Visit yumaestateplanning.com.
Are you struggling to find quality employees? Tired of placing the same old Sunday classifieds or getting lost in the online job boards and getting the same results? Then you need to call us today at 344-4980 and put radio to work for you. It's fast. Place an ad today and have it on air tomorrow. Whether you're looking for hourly workers or to fill highly specified job descriptions, placing an ad on radio will help you fill these positions quickly. Call 344-4980 today and put radio recruitment to work for you.
Be sure to listen Sunday afternoon from noon to 2 for the radio show that talks about all things real estate with award-winning broadcaster Stephen Gascoigne. It's everything you need to know about your home, from buying and selling. Brought to you by PhD. When your home needs a professional home doctor, call PhD 344-911-1.
Bells will be ringing. The sad, sad news. Oh, what a Christmas. Baby's gone.
AM 560 KBLU. Russ Clark back with you, Mills, in studio. And I got to talk about Avenatti, Michael Avenatti. Do you remember him, Mel?
No.
The porn lawyer that had Stormy Daniels.
Yeah.
But I like that you couldn't remember, because every one of us should put him out of our head. Yeah. We all should. But let's take a phone call first. You're on the air.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, sir.
Say, I've got about a 20-second. It's sort of a vocal Christmas card, okay, for guys like Carl who made comments about our gas prices. You think you could give me 20 seconds here?
Do it.
You know, this belongs with the rap genre, okay. By the way, that's group speak for old fogies, okay. I'm trying to break into the rap. Okay, so this is called In Memory of the 2-Cent Drop. The gas at 2-cent drop, the Prez, he is a flop. May go up, may go down, problem is he go round and round. Expecting nothing else from the clown, no mind felt in every town. If you thinking he worth electing, all his faults they been detected. Can't use Kamala, just like him, she been faking. Neither one have any thinking. What do you think, guys? Have I got a chance here?
I think you're a poet for sure, but I like the sentiment, actually. And that 2-cent drop cost us like $40 billion or something.
Yeah.
You know, as we unloaded our reserves to send it to China and Japan and stuff. You know.
well, okay. You guys have a good
Appreciate it, sir. Bye-bye. God, Bill, I mean, he became a poet, man.
Yes.
You know, normally. Well, Michael Avenatti, he's now in jail, of course.
Yes.
Of course, he was the hopeful of CNN, MSNBC, and all those guys. They had him on twice a day for 90 days. Every day you turn on the CNN or MS, you were going to run into Michael Avenatti. And he always had proof that Trump was breaking laws, always had proof that he's going to jail.
Him and what's that little twerp from out in California?
Oh, Brian Steller?
No. In the Congress.
Adam Schiff. Well,
yeah.
Him and Brian are.
We're going to be releasing a real piece of dynamite next week.
Tomorrow, yeah, next week. It's coming out tomorrow. It's coming out the next day. They always had it. And Michael Avenatti was the same way, and he defended Stormy Daniels, the porn lawyer, who made a lot of accusations about Trump, and then and she ended up losing that case, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't know that, but we had the porn star out there prancing around and Avenatti, and she also accused Avenatti of stealing from her. Now, I believe that happened.
Yeah.
Because he stole from everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of partners accused him, and he's in jail for extortion, actually, to Nike. He extorted Nike for $20 million. Do this or I'll do this. And he's in jail and surprised. And he's had partners sue him. Everybody's suing him. And he's still got a lot of stuff going on, but he was the one that Brian Stelter, as he was sitting there, said he's a serious possible president candidate. Brian Stelter gave him that.
Oh, really?
Thought he should be he should be a 2020 candidate as a Democrat against Trump because he's done so many great things. He called him Trump's worst nightmare, saving the country. Ari Melber, MSNBC, called him the belle of the ball. And says, I'm going to look back someday and say, this was the peak. It was the downfall from here. But they held this guy. He was just one of many they held in such high esteem.
Yeah.
Heads and shoulders above Donald Trump, the crump Donald Trump. Yeah. Well, his lawsuits for Daniels failed, who later accused him of stealing property. He stopped the confirmation. He tried to stop the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh, which I didn't remember that, but it backfired. But something about Brett Kavanaugh. You remember all the disruptions that people kept disrupting the official proceedings? Mm-hmm. Nobody went to jail for disrupting official proceedings.
No,
that only happens now on the January 6th thing.
Yeah,
because that's apparently a felony. That's how they get felonies on these guys, disrupting official proceedings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the velvet rope overthrow. And a string of arrests. He was a hero. He's juggling 3 federal indictments, claim of fraud, embezzlement, attempted extortion, and details which he commands as he's representing himself. Well, I just thought I'd bring up a little bit of a history, Mel, on Avenatti, lest we forget. But like you couldn't even. Most people can't. But yet he was the number one guy in 2018. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Georgia.
Hey, I want to first say I apologize for my rudeness the other morning. I'm a very upset person about what's going on, and that's not quite all that was up with me. My dad passed away the first of the month. So
I'm sorry.
Well, I appreciate that, Russ. It's just I'm not. I'm real salty about some things, and I wanted to apologize for my crudeness because I didn't need to do that to get my point across.
Well, I appreciate it, but I didn't even think you were one of the more crude guys I've seen. I mean, I thought you were gentle with your crudeness, so thank you.
I felt that I was, so I wanted to apologize. And, this stuff at the Capitol, which you're just speaking of,
right?
That was all incited by insiders. I mean, there's FBI guys that are on camera instigating this, and they're not getting charged.
Correct.
But they're charging these other people who basically, depending on where you were at, you were either invited in by the Capitol Police, which y'all come on, or no, don't come in. But I mean, if they was really there for an insurrection, you think they'd be walking behind the velvet ropes, taking pictures, and and more or less, still conforming to the way things should be at the Capitol.
No.
And then all these others, you're talking about the Supreme Court, they're interrupting their processes, and if they've got footage on Kenosha and what happened during the Rittenhouse episode, then they've got drones and they've got pictures of all these riots and looting that was going on, and they're not prosecuting none of those people.
Absolutely correct. It's selective prosecution. Absolutely.
That's right. It is arbitrary at the very best.
Yep.
And I wish, because I am very upset about this, I wish there was a way that we could, I wish we had something you could paint their forehead so you'd know what kind of biscuit eater you were dealing with.
Well, there is a way to get it done, and that is if Nancy Pelosi is replaced by a Republican Speaker, then they can release the tapes, and that's what would happen.
Well, and that's what needs to be done.
Yeah.
But now I've called in many times, and I've said this many times. I really do not have any faith in Republicans, Democrats. I don't have no faith in them no more, Russ.
Well, that's earned. They earned that right.
That's right.
Well, they have. They've earned my distrust.
Yes,
absolutely.
They have.
And I don't know. I don't know how to go about rectifying it. And that's what is part of the basis of my frustration.
What
is
tell me a Republican you do trust.
None.
Oh, really?
None.
There's a lot there's a lot I do trust.
I don't. I mean, well, name one that you trust.
Donald Trump, for one. I think he's honest with us always.
All right.
I think Marsha Blackburn.
We'll start with President Trump, then we'll get to Blackburn. But President Trump, just briefly, I supported the man.
Yep.
I do not support his warp speed. I don't care what your political affiliations is. You cannot condense time down so 6 months equals 20 years worth of studies. You can't do it.
I agree.
It's not in the realm of our world. Unless you're Doctor Strange from the Marvel universe.
Yep.
Then that's not going to happen. So right. I don't care what political affiliation you have. I'm not for that. I want more study before something's stuck in my body. That's my opinion.
Yep.
I think so much of this could have been avoided if we would have had some spinal fortitude and done some hard things that needed to be done, and they didn't do it. And I put that right on President Trump.
Yep.
There's proof there, Russ. We all know there is. It's just not being released. So why didn't he, as when he was still president, why didn't he force that?
He couldn't. Pelosi was in charge of that, not Trump.
Well, I mean, no, he's the president. He's the keeper of the law. He's the keeper of the law.
Yes, he's the executive. He's the executive branch.
Yeah. He had the executive branch's authority.
Yep, that's it.
And he did not use it to the full of his potential.
But
we could have avoided all this bullcrap we're dealing with today.
Maybe he could have done more. I don't know. I don't know what it'd be. But he can't control Nancy Pelosi, who's in charge of the House, and that's a separate branch, and you can't do it.
Now Congress does make the laws, but the executive branch enforces it.
Correct.
And there's laws of you and I and your friends sitting there, we know that they have not been enforced, and the public does not know the truth.
Yes,
they get told one side.
I agree.
And so, if you guys can talk it out and us figure out other than, because I don't think Pelosi's the single.
No.
The holdup. No, all of D.C. is corrupt.
But she's got more power than anybody there. She's the most powerful.
Well, I agree with that too. And quite honestly, at 80 and 81 years old, I don't care who you are, you probably ought to be at the house enjoying your grandkids.
I agree.
And not up here messing around with the country when your time has truly passed.
Right. Well, Georgia,
y'all have a good morning.
You too, man. You have a great Christmas. We'll be right back. AM 560, KBLU.
The way we use electricity and the way we get charged is changing and will continue to change. That's why I love talking about my Rheem heat pumps and air conditioners. The new Rheem equipment are built with electrical demand in mind, in ACs, heat pumps, and furnaces. If you're in the market for a new AC or heat pump, call Air Central Heating and Cooling, your local Rheem dealer.
Give Air Central a call or just log on to acyuma.com.
If they were in the business of building better vacuum cleaners, chances are your rug would be pretty darn clean. If they spent the time thinking about lawnmowers, you'd probably be the envy of your neighbors. If piecing together go-karts was their bag, you'd be the fastest kid in the alley. They'd probably be good at a lot of different things, but they're in the business of building motorcycles, and it's what they do best. Harley-Davidson brand motorcycles. The time is now for you to make the lifelong commitment to ride. Visit Bobby's Territorial Harley-Davidson today at 2550 East Gila Ridge Road in Yuma.
H&R Block has many options to make filing your taxes easy. Our tax pros can help you get your max refund with or without the office visit. Drop in, drop off, or a tax pro can even do your taxes virtually. Send some pics from your phone without leaving home. Just another way Block has your back.
All tax situations are different. Not everyone gets a refund.
So when you need a hand with your taxes, H&R Block is here for you. Drop off your taxes today at their offices in Yuma, the Foothills, or San Luis, and let their experienced tax professionals help get your taxes won.
Grown-ups devise a plan and follow it. Children, do what feels good. Take responsibility for your family's future and get your estate in order. Call my friends Sean Garner and Adam Hansen, attorneys at the law firm of Deason, Garner, and Hansen. Sean and Adam believe in giving free education to help people make smart decisions about their assets and leave a legacy for their family that they can be proud of. Schedule a consultation today. Visit yumaestateplanning.com.
RV World would like to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas. Listen for your border crossing reports each weekday morning and the road reports each afternoon. Brought to you by RV World. RV World located on Gila Ridge Road, exit Interstate 8 on Araby Road, then head west on Gila Ridge about a quarter mile.
AM 560 KBLU. Russ Clark back with you. Mel's with me.
Yes, sir.
And Mel, you've been reading on this show. How 9 years?
This is, I believe, the 9th year. I was doing it back when Cody was still doing the morning show here on this station.
That's awesome. And you read right on Christmas Eve?
Always on Christmas Eve, or try to do it on Christmas Eve, yes. Right. So this is the account taken from the Gospel of Matthew and of Luke. The birth of Christ. It's easy to get wrapped up in what's going on around the country and around the world right now, and especially with this COVID nonsense that's been going on.
Yep.
It's time for us to remember that there's a reason that we celebrate December 25th, as we celebrate the birth of the Christ. So I have been reading from Matthew and Luke for, like I say, this is the 9th year I've been doing it.
Many years before that on all other places.
And other places, that's true. But this is on the air. Uh-huh. And if you would like to read along with me, I read from the King James Bible. And we will start with the chapter 1, verses 18 through the close of chapter 1 of Matthew. And then we will go over to the book of Luke, chapter 2, the beginning and the first 14 verses of the book of Luke. So, the reason we celebrate. The Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 1, verse 18. Now the birth of Jesus Christ was on this wise. When his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Ghost. Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man and not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privily. But while he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take thee Mary thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Ghost. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins. Now all this was done, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and she shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is God with us. Then Joseph, being raised from sleep, did as the angel of the Lord had bidden him, and took unto him his wife, and knew her not till she had brought forth her firstborn son, and he called his name Jesus. Now we're moving over to the book of Luke, chapter 2. And it came to pass in those days that it went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. And all went to be taxed, every one to his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth unto Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house of the lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room in the inn. And there were in that same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of heavenly hosts, praising God, and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men. Folks, tomorrow morning when you're out there and you're tearing open your Christmas presents and you're getting ready for a nice big family dinner, take some time to contemplate and think on the reason that we celebrate this day, and on the man who came down from heaven, made himself, took on a human form, that we all might have the gift of eternal salvation. Merry Christmas to all of you.
If we had more of that, Mel, we probably wouldn't have some of the strong disconnect, hatred, vitriol.
Absolutely true.
Have more conversations that
absolutely right.
We can disagree with, but have some commonality.
Yes.
And I think that's something that they've worked hard. I think some forces have worked hard to take out of the public square, take out of the schools.
They've taken the Bible out of the public. They want the Bible taken out of public discourse totally, and God taken out of public discourse, and that's a huge mistake.
Yeah, and it's people of faith though, just resilient. I mean, when it comes to disease, comes to everything else, and those are pretty well documented.
Yeah, but the problem, the people of faith have got to be willing to stand up.
Yeah.
And there's one, and I should, if I can go see if I can find it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
In the book of Chronicles.
You've read that book before?
I have more than once.
Now, Mel, did you grow up your whole life?
No, actually, I'm going to tell you, I was raised as a Catholic.
Okay,
and this may offend some folks of the Catholic faith, but the fact is, the Catholic Church never encouraged people to read the Bible.
Right.
It was when I met Pastor Robbie Robinson at Maranatha Baptist Church, and I started attending there, that I started and was encouraged to read the Bible. And I've been with them now for, oh my goodness, 22 years, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I have read through the Bible. We have they hand out a little Bible reading calendar.
Where you read something every day.
And you read a little bit every day.
Yeah.
And so I have been through the Bible 18 times.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I read it, I find and I learn a little bit more, and I get a little closer to it.
Yeah.
It's not a book that you can just thumb through. It's not an overnight book. It's not an overnight read.
No.
You have to take your time, see what's going on. And here we go. Here's the problem. It's one of the problems in our country. Book of Second Chronicles, chapter 7, verse 14. And the reason it took me, I can sort of remember this verse, but I wanted to get it absolutely right today. It says, God is talking to Solomon. And he says, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. See, it's up to us, you and me, to sit there and say, God, there's something wrong here. Help us to humble ourselves.
Right.
We can't let our pride get in the way of going in the direction we should be going.
Of course, and I think it was Lincoln in his second inauguration that pointed out that both the South and the North thought God was with them.
Yes.
Of course,
the important thing is
we were mistaken as a country, and we paid a price for it.
Well, Lincoln said, is God with us? The question is, are we with God?
Yeah.
That's the big question. And if we are, then things will work out. God won't be with us unless we are with Him.
Yeah.
So.
And then, and of course, we talk a lot about politics, a lot of things are going on in the country. And And at times we'll look at somebody like AOC or something that we think, God, her programs are going to destroy us. Mm-hmm. And God bless her. I think she's just not smart enough to understand. Well, whether or not she's trying to really help people or not, I have no idea. But
well, all progressives think they're doing what they're doing is for the good for the common good.
Right.
They don't realize what they're giving away.
Right.
What we're losing by following this progressive agenda.
Right. And charity is not forcing the government to take care of people. Charity is coming from us as individuals.
Well, it's the old saying, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, teach him to fish, and you feed him forever. Right. That's where we have to go. We have to get back to the teaching them to fish. Get out and do things for yourself, folks.
And it's just more respectful. We need to take a break. It's top of the hour. We'll be back, actually. AM 560, KBLU.
Till he appeared, and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious.
From the 1 Hour Air Conditioning and Heating Studio, this is News Talk 560 KBLU, Yuma.
Christmas Eve. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. There are some long airport lines.
This is why I invested in the expedited check-in services like Clear. You can just kind of walk right in and kind of skip the line.
She's at Chicago's O'Hare Airport, where there are also some long faces. Travelers upset their holiday plans got upended.
A number of airlines, including United and Delta, say that they have canceled flights because of staffing shortages, partly attributed to the spread of COVID.
Fox's David Lee Miller, FlightAware reports 475 flights in the U.S. or to and from here are grounded. There were 261,000 new COVID cases in the U.S. yesterday, in a surge we haven't seen since Delta over the summer. The CDC is easing quarantine rules on healthcare workers who get COVID from 10 to 7 days if they test negative with no symptoms.
The agency lowered the number of days out of concern that healthcare workers would be needed to get back on the job if hospitals get overwhelmed by COVID cases.
Fox's Jill Nato. The family of a 14-year-old girl is mourning in Los Angeles the day after Christmas after she was shopping in the wrong place at the wrong time. Fox's Evan Brown explains live.
Yeah, Dave, police in Los Angeles say an officer who fired his gun inside a North Hollywood Burlington department store at a man assaulting a woman hit and killed a child.
The suspect was struck, and then another young female, 14 years old, in a dressing room was also struck.
LAPD Assistant Chief Dominic Choi says body-worn and store security camera recordings are being reviewed. That suspect was killed, and the original assault victim was taken to a hospital day.
There was also gunfire at a shopping mall in Oak Brook, Illinois, outside Chicago.
People outside of H&M were coming in, and they're telling lock the doors, and so we all rushed in.
4 people were injured. 2 suspects are in custody. America's listening to Fox News.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider and are only available if the provider determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And Hims makes it extra affordable. You pay just $30 for a month's supply. And right now, get your first online doctor's visit totally free when you go to 4hims.com/joy. That's right, free. 0 copay, no expensive appointments, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to doctors online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. And a pharmacy sends it right to your door. Hims makes it affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to. And that's really good news. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com.
Morning News is brought to you by Sprague Sports on 32nd Street, Yuma's hunting and shooting headquarters, and responsible gun ownership since 1956.
Truckmates, Yuma's Fix Up Your Pickup Truck Store is Yuma's home for snug top shells and lids. Snug Top, designed and manufactured to the highest standard, industry-leading quality and trend-setting design to protect and complement your vehicle. That's Snug Top. Truckmates is also your Line-X spray and bed liner dealer. Line-X, #1 in America for spray-in bed liners, with nationwide warranty coverage, is now available and installed by Yuma's most experienced spray-on team at Truckmates. So protect your vehicle inside and out with Line-X spray and bed liners and snug top shells and lids at Truckmates. Truckmates is also your home for BDS suspensions, the highest quality aftermarket suspension lift kits, leveling kits, and accessories for 4x4 off-road truck and Jeep enthusiasts. And BDS suspensions are backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. BDS suspensions, Line-X spray and bed liners, and snug top shells and lids at Truckmates in its brand new building, same location, 32nd Street next to Lowe's.
The opinions voiced in this show, Money Talk, are for general information only and not intended for specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial advisor, or tax advisor prior to investing. Yuma Investment Group Wealth Management investment advisory services are offered through CWM LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Carson Partners, a division of CWM LLC, is a nationwide partnership of advisors.
So this is Christmas, and what have you done? Another year over.
AM 560 KBLU, Russ Clark back with you. It's 8:05 on a Friday. I told Gary Snyder that I would call him. I should do that. Gary Snyder's out there somewhere.
Okay.
I don't know if he's on the border today or what he's doing, but he's been spending a lot of time out there, Mel, making sure that at least we understand what's happening on the border. And he's actually been picking up trash. He's been holding a lot of trash pickup parties, you know. Yeah, he does a lot of that as he goes down and interviews people. Hey, good morning. You're on the air. Gary, how are you, sir? I got Mel in studio.
Well, first off, I want to say Merry Christmas Eve to everyone on KBLU and online, and especially to you, Russ, and Mel. I appreciate the words of the gospel. That was very, very to my heart as well. Just wanted to say Merry Christmas to everyone, especially when we talk about politics and what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, keep our friends and family safe, and we believe in our Lord Savior. Obviously, there's different religious aspects to different religion, but, you know, if you believe in a higher being, I believe that you as a person is much more inclined to not go far left.
That's true.
I think that's true. Probably,
that's true.
Buddy. Are you taking a break today? You're not going out on the border today, right?
Yes, I am taking a break today not to go out to the border because I'm doing something I believe is more dear to my heart and my family. And I had the opportunity, I was called up to go to the Elks Club today and pick up about 50 boxes of food and toys to give away in San Luis, Arizona.
Wow.
I guess they do it every year, and the gentleman that usually does it in San Luis, unfortunately, passed away with it this year, so they didn't have anyone to do that up. So they called me, asked me, and I said, for sure. You don't have to ask twice. So me, my son, and Carl is actually helping me out. Go pick up these 50 boxes of food, I believe, which has turkey and all the extra fixing and stuff like that, and some toys for 25 families in San Luis, Arizona. That's the less fortunate, because we need to bring Christmas cheer as well.
What a great way to spend New Year's Eve. That's wonderful. Or Christmas Eve, not New Year's. Christmas. I'm already moving on. No, Christmas Eve.
Yeah, Christmas Eve, and then obviously Christmas. And just like Mel said, you know, when we open our presents tomorrow and we look around the room, we look what's on TV, you know, right now it should be a lot of positive stuff because we know the next day is always going to be negative. But unfortunately, you know, with our administration currently right now, you know, they want to push what's going on. You see Delta canceled a lot of flights,
Yep.
For family members to go see themselves for Christmas. It would have never happened if the administration didn't bring out the new Omicron. Next day will be the Transformer. I understand there's a lot of variations, but what happened to the first one? What happened to the second one?
They die out and go on to the next one. And this Omicron is proving not to be nearly as deadly, even if it is more. But some people said, and some doctors have said it's good for us because it actually will make you immune to this virus, and it's not as deadly, so it may be like a vaccine type deal.
Makes you stronger.
Maybe it's a boost your immune system to take it on. I think there's only been one death of it in the United States of the Omicron, and we're shutting down so far. Yeah, that's equal to what Alec Baldwin killed. So.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of these elected officials more towards California area that they're praising that they've got it and they're fully vaccinated and a booster?
Yeah, well, that's why they need 2 or 3 boosters, which is ridiculous. I'm just joking about that. It's just, look, it didn't work the first 3 times. Let's just keep taking it.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Well, I just want to say a big thank you from my family to you, Russ, for the opportunity this whole year to listen to the real truth. That's kind of weird to hear, but it's the truth.
Weird.
To hear real news and real issues, you think that should be a normal thing when the media start, but unfortunately, we've seen the difference, and I want to say thank you from my heart and my family. You're the one that got me started and excited in politics because it shows me there's a lot of people like us.
Yep.
That believe, regardless if we're getting hit or not, it doesn't matter. We stand up for our Constitution, we stand up for our rights, but most importantly, we stand up for our conservative people.
God bless you, man. Have a great day.
Thank you. And you guys have a good Christmas and enjoy the little ones.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye. Man, that's a hard-working guy down there. And
need a few more of those.
And going out on the border with him, and of course, bilingual, of course, and been able to communicate. He does a tremendous service to give a picture of what's really going on and let us know that, who's coming across, what their intentions are, what at least what he can get from. And a lot of them will have the same canned story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But because they've been briefed, but he can cut through some of that, find out some of that's going on. And it's not all that we think it is sometimes. It's different countries, different personnel, different attitudes.
Yep.
And they're definitely coming with suitcases. They look like they're just got off a plane in Sky Harbor.
Yeah.
They a total different group. Remember, wasn't that long ago, Mel, in the 90s or whatever?
Oh, you see, they come up paper bags and plastic garbage bags.
Yeah, that's what their clothes were getting bad. They had a rope for a belt.
Yeah.
Not now. It's designer jeans and talking on a cell phone.
The times they are a-changing, huh?
Yeah, and they're some of these passports he's picked up. He showed me one from I think it was a Cuban passport where they'd ripped his name out and all that. He burned that or something or whatever. But it had stamp after stamp after stamp. I mean, all the different countries is all over the place. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Yeah. Well, this guy's heavily traveled.
He's an international traveler, right?
He says, well, he's probably a cartel member.
Probably.
Yeah, probably somebody that has financing and money. But all we got was, a ripped up passport. We don't know who the person is. We just saw the stamps like crazy all over the thing. And then itineraries of these people flying in out of Europe, flying in all over the place. Where they bury them in the desert before they come into, so they can claim, I'm a poor guy from El Salvador, with no means to support myself, and because they're ditching everything.
Yeah,
when they come in for the interviews, they have no paper, nothing. Because Gary's got it all. He's got a filing cabinet of it now, of all the stuff that's been ditched and. Because it's a different people, and he can put together a picture of they're flying into Mexicali, they're flying in wherever they're flying into, or Mexico City, and he does a great job of just making us aware of what reality is. And a lot of the Haitians that came up, they were Haitians that hadn't been to Haiti in years. They'd lived in other places.
Lived in other places, yeah.
Yeah, they were living in South America, just happy until Biden says, "Come on, come all."
Yeah.
And they said, "Well, we even have a better chance up there."
There's all kinds of stuff going on down in Haiti, by the way. There was a bunch of missionaries were kidnapped. They were just a bunch of them were let loose over the last couple of days.
What do you mean? Missionaries were let loose?
They were kidnapped by gangs.
In the
hills in Haiti.
Now you have relatives.
Yeah, she and her husband actually is in charge of the mission, but they were pretty much left. They're up in the mountains someplace.
Okay,
but down around the Port-au-Prince area, they have a bunch of these gangs. Ever since the president was assassinated,
right?
About 2 months ago now.
A terrible thing, right?
And these gangs have taken over parts of the country, and they kidnapped a bunch of missionaries for a while. They've let loose most of them, I understand now, according to a letter I got from.
But they were holding them for ransom. And these were the people there that were helping. And
trying to help.
Food, clothing, education, whatever.
Yes.
And they kidnapped them.
Yes, they kept. Most of them have been, as I understand it, have been let loose now.
Absolutely incredible.
But it's just what's going on down there is really it's scary as all get out.
Yeah.
So you got to give one thing. In thinking about people of faith, I am so thankful that we have people who are willing to go out into these various places, to Haiti, to Indonesia, to Africa, to whatever, and to spread the gospel message, because it takes a lot of courage. You're out there and you're on your own in an area where you don't know what's going to happen to you,
Well, they still have to be scared.
Well,
yeah.
Their faith sustains them, and God bless them.
Right.
I wish them all the best.
Absolutely terrible. It was mentioned earlier, I don't know who mentioned about it might have been Gary, mentioned the airlines.
Yeah.
United Airlines canceled 165 flights on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
And they're going to cancel 28 for Saturday. They're saying that it's an Omicron. Now, it's not that the Omicron, once people get exposed, I guess there's a protocol. Mm-hmm. If you're near somebody, whatever, you got to go incubate. You got to be isolate, and that's causing the problem. And they've got some solutions for that. But let me take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Well, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I just want to wish you both a very Merry Christmas and thank you for everything you do.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And also let everybody know that the Crossroads Mission is serving their food again today, but it will be indoors because it is a little wet.
Yeah, it is.
And I just pulled in right now because I'm going to go out and make about 20 stops on the food route.
You're a good man. I appreciate the call, man.
I appreciate it. And I enjoyed doing it. I've been doing it for the last 3 years.
Have you? Good. Well,
yeah.
Good to hear from you.
It's a very humbling experience, if you know what I mean.
I do. I appreciate it. Thank you for all you do, man.
You have a good and Merry Christmas.
All right, Butch. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's Butch. I saw him in that electric light parade. Hadn't seen him in a few years, but he's done a lot with the churches and a lot with that stuff recently. But this United Airlines is saying that, look, they've got this mandatory isolation thing, and they think it's too long. They'd like to make it a 5-day isolation period. Right now, there's, somebody on the airplane has tested positive, and then the crew has to go home for 2 weeks. They don't have enough people.
Yeah.
So they're not being able to fly the airplanes, and the Omicron, is not proven to be deadly, and yet you do a positive, whether it's a false or whatever, we don't know, but it's changing things.
Everything is being disrupted. Do we have a caller?
We do have a call. Let me take that real quick. You're on the air.
Hey, Russ, Phil.
Yeah, good morning.
Gary Snyder, what he had to say and do is very humbling, and what the fellow that just called you just now is very humbling.
Yeah, that was Butch. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and they prompted me to call in because I remember what these guys probably know already. When they get old as me, they will remember this. It's a blessing to have this type of memory. My point is, when my children were younger, 2 daughters and a son, they were younger. and they were between 6 and 10 years old. They got together and they confronted me, and they said, "Dad, instead of having presents, can we just take the money and we give it to the poor?"
Wow.
That overwhelmed me. I went and told my wife what the kids had told me. Well, she had sent them to me to tell me this after they had asked her. So that's what we did for 10 years. We'd take a couple $100 for each child, put it in the $20 bills, and we all worked together in the den, and we put it in envelopes, and we go through neighborhoods that we picked. We didn't donate it to Red Cross or anybody now. We did this ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we looked at homes and stuff where we saw where they might need it. They'd run up to the screen door, ring the doorbell, put the envelope in the door, and then run back to the car. And that's what we did. Pick them up in the block. We'd do another block till we ran out of money.
That's a great deal.
Yeah, it is. So I'm saying this. So if someone's out there wondering what they can do, they can. I still do this, by the way. I just don't brag about it on your radio show. I still do it.
All right.
But up to the amount of money that I give out, I just don't need to be talking about it for those who think I don't do anything. And but anyway, yeah, y'all have a Merry Christmas, guys.
You too.
Okay.
All right, OG. You too, buddy.
Right, take care.
Yeah, that's OG. You know, still never met him, Mel. One day I'm gonna bump into that rascal, and he won't be able to hide his voice. We'll know him.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll know who you are. American Airlines doing the same thing as far as having problems, and they're canceling flights. Delta, American Airlines, United Airlines. And they're all asking to change some of these isolation periods. It's just too much. We got too much going on. I don't know. Did the airlines? The airlines had to make sure that you were all fully vaccinated. Weren't they under a mandate? And then you were fired if you didn't.
Something like
that. I think
that.
they were kind of like some of the hospitals.
Hospitals, law enforcement. Well, the military has started discharging.
Yeah, they did the Air Force first.
Personnel.
Yeah.
Starting
to fire everybody. And then they say, well, we got shortage of people. Well, really?
Really? Yeah.
Imagine that.
The fact that you're throwing half of them out has nothing to do with it, right?
Can't really figure that one out. That's getting shortage of all the people and all that stuff. But hopefully, now, I'm looking at the Omicron. And, in fact, I just gave you some numbers out of South Africa, and I don't have them on top of my head. But South Africa is a population of 60 million people in that country, and they don't have the medical that we do available. I mean, we're very fortunate in this country that we have as much as we do as far as...
I don't know that they don't have the medical, because...
Most people don't.
Well, some of the best developments in for example, Christian Barnard was a South African.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they have some great ones. I don't think they are prolific in every community. But there are 60 million people, which is the same as New York and California.
Okay.
And right now, they're in the height of this Omicron, although it is dying down now.
Mm-hmm.
It is coming back down. It was at 23,000 infections a day average at their peak, and now it's down around 17 or 16 or something like that. And that dropped in the last week. I mean, it's dropping rapidly. Their total deaths peaked out at 57 per day. Mm-hmm. Now, California and New York surpass that every day, all the time, by themselves. And they don't even have. But the Omicron is proven not to be as deadly.
Well, the other thing is, look, those deaths that we're hearing about, we don't really know that they're really COVID or Omicron or whatever connected deaths.
Oh, in the United States.
In the United States. Because they give us a number, but they don't give us the total truth. We were talking off the air. Total number of deaths in the United States last year as compared to the year before.
Was only up 57,000.
It was up very little. But yet we were told that how many deaths, COVID deaths, were there?
Well, originally they said 360,000.
360,000.
Yeah.
Well, were they all really COVID deaths? Or if 360,000 people died of COVID,
then we should have 360,000
Why did the numbers not go up by 360,000?
Right. That's exactly right. Especially when we know that suicides went up also. And
exactly.
Because they don't talk much about it, but I think it broke 100,000 on the suicides that went up.
So,
and drunk driving, believe it or not, went up, which we had less miles driven, but drunk driving went up.
Yeah.
And as a cause of death, which was unfortunate. Yeah. I don't know why that is. Is that because they fired all the cops in some places? I don't know. I don't know what happened.
See, what appears to be happening is that the public is given a number.
Yeah.
And they don't look into that number. They don't really question.
They don't analyze it.
They don't analyze it. How does that compare with last year's numbers?
Right.
Well, if it doesn't compare, and it doesn't, then obviously somebody's feeding somebody a line of nonsense.
And the increase we had was a normal increase. In fact, it was about 50-some thousand, which was a 2%, which the year before was like 1.5. The year before that was 3.3. So it's right in range with what it always is.
It's where it always has been.
So it wasn't like there was any extra deaths in the United States.
No. But the way it is being presented to the people, it's as if there were.
Right.
There were 360,000 more people died than would have died had it not been for this virus.
It's not what proved out.
But that's not the case.
Not when you take actual names of people that died. And we all know, and we know people that have died officially of coronavirus, that died of a heart attack or other things, but they attribute it because there is a financial incentive to do so at some of these hospitals. And I don't know that I understand all that, but George wrote me the other day that if you die of COVID on a incubator, when it's like a $40,000 paycheck to the hospital.
Really?
Yeah, that you don't get if they live. And I don't know what that's all about.
I don't understand that.
I don't understand
then again,
that.
There's a lot that goes on that I don't understand.
I don't. And I don't know how that all works out and where that money comes from, but it doesn't make sense.
In my almost 79 years, I've just find myself being more and more confused as days pass by.
Well, then you're normal.
I guess.
Fauci has warned Americans not to invite unvaccinated relatives for holiday. Isn't that a sweet holiday?
Yeah, Merry Christmas, but Uncle Fred, you can't come. You don't have a shot.
Isn't that a sweet thing to say, to people? He was on MSNBC, and he was asked about if someone in your family isn't vaccinated, should you ask them not to show up? And his answer was, yes, I would do that. I think we're dealing with a serious enough situation right now that if there's an unvaccinated person, I would say, very sorry, but not this time, maybe another time when this is over.
Well, the thing is, though, the way it's going, it's never going to be over. When they run when they run out of Greek letters, they'll do something else.
Well, they've moved the goalposts so many times.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Once Omicron is over, they're going to come up with something else and something else. There'll be a theta until there'll finally be an omega. And after Omega, they're going to have to start finding a new way to number.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we can go back. We just can't use countries' names anymore. Not since the Spanish flu or whatever.
No.
Whatever. But he even suggested vaccinated family members may want to avoid holiday gatherings.
Well,
you're totally vaccinated. You're wearing the mask. You got the rubber suit on. And you still want to avoid people.
Well, because
what are you doing to us?
Because the totally vaccinated and 3 times boosters, they're still coming down with the disease.
They are.
So, what are we doing this for?
I don't know. That was during a news briefing on Wednesday. He advised people, even those who are vaccinated and boosted, to stay away from large gatherings. What kind of life is he talking about here, Mel? This is terrible. Those are the kind of fun, in the context of COVID, and particularly in the context of Omicron, that you do not want to go. Well, no wonder the suicide rate's up, the depression's up, alcoholism's up. It's all up because
people can't go out, go to work. They can't do this, they can't do that, so they sit at home and get sloshed every day, which is
Fauci.
wrong.
Yeah, I know. That's not the preferred method of finding something to do.
No.
That's just not it. Now in this time with these lockdowns and community leaders gone amok in some places of defunding police, and in California allowing shoplifting up to a certain amount where we won't prosecute. And it's like $1,000.
Yes.
Anything under $1,000 pretty much is you can do that. And what that's done is created cartels of shoplifters where they take orders, I wonder how
Sheriff Wilmot would let me bust into Paul Bensel's and rip off $990 worth of jewelry.
I think he would go nuts.
Yeah. I don't think he'd be very friendly next time I saw him.
I don't think he would go along with it.
No, I don't.
Even if the political leader said do it, I don't.
Well, I can't picture Mayor Nichols.
No. Well, in the district,
encouraging that either. So
even or the attorneys, the district attorney and stuff, and say like, we're just not going to prosecute him, so it doesn't matter. Don't pick him up.
No.
Of course, that's what's going on the border. The sheriff can't pick up people coming in illegal. They're not going to be prosecuted.
Yeah.
And it would be a waste of energy. He'd pick them up, they'd drop them off, and the attorneys would say
on the road 5 minutes later. They're on the road
drop
again.
them off in town. It doesn't matter. Well, in Los Angeles, I guess it's just come all out in the open that rampant lawlessness has taken over. Lady walked into a Rite Aid. Now, they do mention here she's a black woman. That's highly unusual. Usually they mention race when it's a white person that hurts a black person. This is just a black woman in her 40s walked into a Rite Aid with a pickaxe, which in California, since the gold rush, it's been odd that you walk around with a pickaxe. The gold rush is over. Not a lot of people have a pickaxe even. And she went in there with a pickaxe on Wednesday and filled her basket full of liquor. That was at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Okay. Well, had to get ready for happy hour.
Yeah, and police reported a suspect allegedly threatened store employees who attempted to take her basket with the pickaxe. So they just let her go. They don't even know who she is.
The old law was that looters were shot.
That's tough.
And if I wonder what would happen if a couple of these store owners just said, you know what, enough is enough.
Yeah.
And stood there with their 12 gauge and said, all right,
Well, those store owners would go to jail.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. And that's a shame too.
Yeah.
Not that I want to see wholesale slaughter of people, but
no. Well, there's Los Angeles in recent weeks. This article points out that the smash and grab robberies have netted about $340,000 worth of just high end stuff gone. The poor people, they need those new high end purses. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
You remember John Monero, your buddy?
Minori,
yeah.
Minori, yeah. Why don't we wish his family a Merry Christmas?
Absolutely. I still miss the guy.
I know you do. That's why I called back. I'm sorry, but
thank you, buddy.
I know you do.
I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, to John Minori, what a different guy. He was a Detroit lawyer.
Yeah, he was.
Rough and tumble, and a big heart. Just a wonderful guy. And,
there's a lot of folks who lost someone during the last past year, whether for whatever reason, and of course, our prayers go out to these folks and hope that you will find comfort and solace during this season.
Yeah, nobody's going to fill John's shoes.
No.
Well, just too unique.
An interesting fella.
Yeah, yeah. He was a great contributor to the show. Quite honestly, he would call in or be in on a regular basis, and if I needed legal advice, I'd call him up if there was something going on in the show that was is this legal? I'd call John up. It was always a great deal.
Yeah.
To have him because he was unguarded.
That's a good word for it. Yeah. Yes, it is.
He was.
But he, our pastor. If we'd have someone in our church who would run into some difficulties, would call John, and John would often give pro bono assistance to folks that he knew could not afford whatever, but they needed legal support, and he said, "Heck yes, send them over to me."
Right.
And I'll be there for you. And he was. He never said no. He was always there for us, and he was a good friend, and a good friend to people who were in need.
Yeah. And
sometimes he was a pain in the neck.
Oh God.
but he was, his heart was in the right place, or at least seemed to be.
He was a tough dude.
He was.
He was tough, and I can't imagine the courtroom. And when he came in, it was like, oh God,
yeah.
Not this guy, because he wouldn't quit.
No. He was a bulldog.
Yeah, he was. It was sorely messed. I mean, God, he was young. I think he was in his 50s.
Yeah.
And I think a heart attack or something. I'm not sure. He had heart bypass.
He had had a bypass about
5, 6, 7 years.
5, 6 years ago. So
yeah, before he died. Yeah, and then.
In fact, it was longer than that. My goodness, it had to be about 12 years.
Oh, when he had it done, yeah, but it was a
yeah.
And then he just had a procedure at the hospital or something, and then he was in a car with his partner driving.
Yeah.
And he knew he was in trouble.
He
knew he was in trouble, and he said, "Call my brother."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't think I'm gonna make it to the hospital type stuff. Terrible. Terrible situation, and yeah, he's sorely missed.
He's missed.
Oh yeah, and there won't be another like him because there shouldn't have been one like him because he's he was definitely with that, and he was a car guy.
Yeah,
he really liked cars, and he built a lot of stuff up, and he what a good friend though.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I always felt sorry for the judges that had to handle him in the courtroom. I was like, oh no, that's too bad. You got John out there.
Yeah, need a bigger gavel.
Yeah, yes, yeah, because he is a bulldog.
Yeah,
that guy.
He was.
That guy would not quit. Mel, how long have you been in Yuma?
Well, I first came in 1961. I came here as a private in the Army from 61 to 64. And then I came back in 1988.
Yep.
So since 1988.
Been a long time. I moved here in 95.
Yeah.
We were talking about hospitals getting money for ventilators and all that. I got a text here from someone that says it's only $53 in hospitals. Saying, I don't know. And this may be somebody that works in a hospital that knows exactly what it is. And but I know I get a lot of reports out there from people like George Braun, or Washington, that knows, and he said it's been in the thousands. I don't know where those numbers come from. I guess I'd have to really try to research. I never have researched it, but I got to go see Michelle Hiddington next week. She had texted me and wanted me to come by and talk to her about helping out with some stuff in Yuma. And I said I'd be glad to, and. So I'll ask Michelle about those numbers. I'm sure she can find. Well, she's in charge of public relations.
Yeah, she would know.
And does all that stuff. And talk about the hospital. We Danny Bryant was a very vocal, very out there on getting the hospital to not accept a buyout bid, basically from a company that does that all over the country. I guess they do that, and they say, well, it was a partnership, but they were going to get more than 50%. And it's when they have more than 50%, it's not our hospital.
No, that's
that's not our hospital.
It's somebody else.
It's somebody else's, and you can lipstick it all over the place. And say, well, they're going to give us this, going to give us that, and it won't matter because we'll still have more people on the board, but that can change tomorrow because they're in charge of changing it.
Yes, yeah,
yeah. If you have 51%,
you no longer have control. It's that simple.
Yeah. Even if you have well intentions, and I don't know the intentions, but I know that Danny Bryant and many others helping him, but he was kind of the point guy. Held that meeting with the other board, the board for all the hospital district board, and they had 250 people show up. And at one time during that meeting, they asked for a show of hands of how many people want to see the buyout take place. Not even the people there representing the buyout raised their hand.
Probably afraid to.
Well, they probably felt like, look, we're a neutral party. We're not part of the community or something. I have no idea, but I was not there. That was a report I got later from that. But that district board, a disconnect with the hospital, I hope gets put back together because they haven't talked really for 2 years. The original district board was set up as the conduit for the land that was donated. I think it was BLM that donated the land as specifically to be used for a hospital and only for a hospital.
Yeah.
And the hospital board was set up as a governing body, and they're elected officials. And the only one that could actually levy a tax. Now, they didn't do it in their entire year from the 50s until this last year. They had a tax this last year to pay for the legal fees because of the issues with the hospital.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the first time they ever had to do a tax. It was strictly for the legal fees because the hospital sued the district board.
Yeah.
After they kind of cut them off, they said, look, you're not allowed, we're not going to keep going on with what we agreed to and the conditions that we had. Actually, the district board started the hospital. That was
way back
in the 50s. They had one hospital that wasn't working out, a Baptist hospital or something that wasn't working out. And they said, we're going to ask you to leave this hospital because the district board owns the property. And they formed a community hospital that exists today. And it grew from there. And that board, the only thing they had to pay for the land and the use of the buildings and all was every year they had to pay the district board's operational fees, which basically
would have been minimal.
Well, it would have been like one secretary.
Yeah,
because they're not paid. The people on the district board are not paid, but they're elected officials. I mean, they are elected. So hopefully those things get back together. I don't know. I haven't talked to the district board since that meeting or anybody from the hospital about it. But hopefully they can find a way to mend that and get back to business. I don't know though. I imagine there's some hurt feelings out there.
Well, the old standby, they're young, they'll get over it.
Maybe. I was on the hospital board for 9 years, and really, I couldn't imagine that kind of atmosphere because that didn't exist when I was on the board. When I was on the board, we had district board members that came regularly to our board meetings just to be there, which they were always invited and always available, and we always shared financials with them. They got everything we did. And that was all cut off. They weren't allowed, and they didn't get financials. They didn't.
Why?
I guess the hospital board, for some reason, decided we don't need another influence. We've got a board. We don't need them. Well, they hold all the cards. They're the elected officials. They own the property.
Yeah.
And the hospital sued them, thinking, well, they've got no money because they only have money that we give them. And they just went to the taxpayers and exercised an option they've always had, they never used, and said, we need to fight a hospital. We need some lawyers. And they went to the taxpayers and got legal funds.
What they needed.
Yeah, and got that done. It was a very minimal tax. I mean, keep in mind, they only raised a few $1 million. They didn't have to raise enough to build a new hospital.
Is it still in effect?
It is. As far as I know, I mean, it'll have to be rescinded at some point, but I don't know that it's all over. I don't know. The lawsuits are all over. I have no idea. I'll have to. I'll find out. I may ask Michelle a little bit about that when I go see her and say, where do we stand? By the way, and I've been hesitant. I've stayed out of it pretty much. I don't. I have not involved myself in it between the investors and the two, other than have my time available.
That's smart for a couple of reasons. Number one, it gives you by staying out of the ring personally, it gives you the right to sit there and to actually comment on what's going on, and without being accused of taking sides one way or the other. You just want to see what's happening and let the public know what's happening.
Right.
So,
I was unhappy with what was happening. It was a situation we didn't need to have. It was and it caused a lot of problems as far as wanting to change things, and I didn't see any reason for it. And still don't know what the reason is, other than they wanted to do this buyout thing and keep it secret, so they kept their board informed, but didn't want the district board to know. So I think I can guess is, so you're not invited to anything, you can't see anything, you can't know anything that's going on. But nothing can happen without district board approval. So I don't know how you keep them out.
Yeah. How are they going to do that?
Because they don't own the property.
Yeah.
The property is all owned by the district board. So you can't sell the business without a deal with the landlord.
You would think. You would think.
Yeah, they thought they would overwhelm them at some point. Any big plans for Christmas?
No. I'm gonna cook up a little bit of a ham and some potatoes, and actually Marcy's easy to cook for. There are very few things that she likes. That those things that she likes, she wants.
Okay.
And
so you know what the menu is.
What would you like to have for dinner?
Okay.
Bang, bang, bang. Thank you. That's it. Nice and simple. It's not complicated at all. If it were for me, I'm the guy that will eat just darn near anything.
Right.
So
even German food.
I love German food.
I know you do.
And Spanish food and Mexican food and whatever food.
Well, you spent time in Germany.
I did.
Yeah, so you had real German food.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And I like Italian food. I wish that Yuma really had a top-notch Italian restaurant.
You mean other than the Olive Garden?
Yes, other than the Olive Garden and their pre-cooked boiled bags. But
let's take a phone call.
They do have. I will say they have good soup and good breadsticks. I love that.
You're on the air.
To Mel.
Yes, sir.
Schnitzel dinner with a tall snap cap beer. How does that sound?
You know what that is?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
You don't see those bottles over here.
No, you don't. It's 12% alcohol, Russ.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the schnitzel dinner is a breaded veal cutlet.
Yep.
And you get red cabbage, German cabbage, and German potato salad and black bread. Remember that? And
yes,
butter?
sir. Good dark black bread. It's good.
Black bread.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's a pump.
We've been there,
I guess the closest thing we have would you say a pumpernickel.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I think we've been to Germany, hadn't we?
Well, more than and I'll tell you, I really enjoyed it. They do know how to put on a feed.
One more thing. They would have kids 8, 9 years old run up to a drink hall. You know what that is, Mel?
Mm-hmm.
A drink hall. That's a newsstand that sells
Yeah,
beer.
yeah.
The 8, 9-year-old kid, Russ, could run up there and buy 2 or 3, as many as he could carry, beer, no license, no laws, and take it home to daddy.
Yep.
Man.
Yeah.
Nice deal.
Yeah, remember that,
Well,
Mel?
I'll tell you something else. I have never eaten a McDonald's hamburger.
Okay.
Never.
All right.
But the only place I have ever gone to McDonald's was in Flensburg, Germany. And that's because at the time I was still drinking. And the troops would say, "Come on, Sarge, let's go on down to McDonald's." And I said, "I don't want to go down there." He said, "Hey, come on, we'll go have a beer." So that's why the only time I went into McDonald's was in Germany because they sold beer.
They sold beer in McDonald's.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, did you get a bratwurst there at McDonald's too? Bratwurst?
Well, you know what? If you went to any German carnival kind of something like a fair or something, there were 3 booths. One of them sold wursts, different kind of sausages, whatever. The second one sold beer. Then the third one it was like a spiel hall. They had pinball machines, this and that and the other thing. And then you go to the next group was another wurst stand, then another beer stand, and another game stand. So if you went through 30 stands, you went through 10 wurst stands,
beer,
10 beer stands,
and games,
and 10 game stands. Yeah. Yep.
Yes. The rest, the bratwurst would be like you seen those hot dogs that are on strings attached together.
Yep.
And they step off how many you wanted, and they had a German mustard that was a hot mustard,
Yes, sir.
and you dip it and have a beer. You got to have that snap cap.
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay,
sir.
y'all have a
Thank
Merry
you,
Christmas
sir.
again.
Merry Christmas, OG. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Yep. Their carnivals were interesting. Were fun.
Well, we still have them in Yuma. Just they don't have the bratwurst.
They don't have the bratwurst.
We have cam and sausage.
Yeah.
Which
they
is
don't have the beer stand. I haven't had a drink in years. So.
Yeah.
But that's the way they did it, man. And he's right. You'd see a kid go running up to the stand and come back, be walking away with his arm full of beers, and run back to the table where his dad and his buddies were sitting there having a good time.
I don't even know if they allow that anymore, even in Germany, do they?
Oh, probably. Some things aren't going to change.
Oh, and that correction I got when I said it was $40,000 for the incubator. Someone wrote me $53. I said I really don't know. He changed it to $53,000.
Oh, okay.
That's what he meant. $53,000.
Slight difference there, Russ.
Yeah. Well, I just read the dollar sign. I thought it meant $53, but it was $53,000. So yeah, there's a lot of money in this COVID for the hospital. I think overall the hospital does worse because it takes away elective surgeries. It hurt the nursing, the hospitals. I mean, they were getting hammered too, and then overrun with some of the COVID. But I think on some of the COVID, it was very lucrative. Yeah, well, unfortunately,
Marcy was having the lens transplants in her eyes.
Yeah,
and they got put back 3 different times because of COVID, because they just were not doing elective surgeries.
Right. Was that cataracts or stuff, you know? Yeah, for that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's at the surgery center at Southwest?
Yeah.
And they've been putting them off?
They had been. I mean, it took, hers got put back 3 different times before they finally did it. Dr. Amati, I believe is his name, did the surgery. But it was 3 times his office called up, says, oh, it's not going to be on the 15th like we said, it'll be on the 20th of next month.
Right.
And on the 18th of the next month, they called and said, well, your surgery on the 20th has been put off. It'll be on the 5th of next month. And this happened 3 or 4 times.
Because of COVID. And I'm sure it might have had some health problems, you know, for them, you know, people not coming in, not enough doctors. But
it happened regularly. And it finally got done. And
yeah, we just got an influx of nurses and doctors.
They said the Fed sent some folks in to help.
Yeah,
it just arrived yesterday, I guess.
But Mel, and they very much say it's not COVID.
No,
but it is. I mean, it's not. It's first they said it was not COVID. It was the illegal immigration.
Yeah,
and then Diana Garcia, the Yuma County Health Director, came out and said it is COVID. Yeah. So take your choice. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, guys, I wanted to call back just real quick. And Mel, I appreciate you reading the passages out of the King James this morning. That helped me quite a bit. I want to say thank you.
Well, you're more than welcome. And I look forward to doing it again next year if Lord lets me hang around another year.
Well, I hope he does. I hope he does. You're right. We should all be a little more compassionate and a little more charitable. I tend sometimes myself to lean toward Jesus being upset at the temple and turning over the tables and chasing out the money exchangers. That's my kind of Jesus.
Well,
it's hard for me to have compassion and charity against folks I'm angry with.
Yeah, I understand.
But hey, that really brought as much Christmas as I've felt to my heart this year. So, Mel, thank you very much for doing that.
You're more than welcome.
See you, Georgia. Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Yep. Have a good one. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Georgia calling back with that. But Diana, I know it's not Garcia, it's Gomez, Diana Gomez. She put in the paper that it was the coronavirus, you know, that's causing a problem. Of course, we can look at the paper today, and there were 76 people in there with coronavirus, which is not the peak by any means. You know, it was more than double that at one time. And 15% of those are 15 or 20% are always about fully vaccinated people that are in the hospital. But she pointed out something that I found, Edward pointed out actually, but when I said the numbers, and she said it's not the coronavirus because only 3% of those coming across the border are infected with COVID.
How do we know that?
Apparently, Southwest Border, that organization is doing the testing. I don't know how much or what percentage or whatever, but
I was under the impression that these people were not being tested at all; that they were just being let loose into the general population.
I think that's generally true overall, and I don't know how much they test, but I guess some testing's going on. And she said it was only 3% tested positive, and that normal Arizonans, you know, in Yuma, are 14.7. So we're the problem. And so I didn't think about it at the time, but Edward called in and said, "That's beautiful. I love numbers." And so whatever they're doing, we need to do. Mm-hmm. So find out if they're vaccinated, if they gather in large groups, and they're not wearing masks,
Yes.
And they seem to have better numbers. Well, that's what we should be doing.
That's what we should be doing. Get together and party and be done.
Forget all this other stuff. We should do what the illegals do.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of those numbers mean anything. I think a few things. When they did test first, they were testing everybody first, and it was over 20% were infected. Yeah. And then they stopped. And I think they got overwhelmed. There's not enough testing available. There's none available, and
there's all kinds of numbers and statistics. And,
but these were not.
And people just make it work to their advantage. There's a way to turn anything to your advantage, I would think.
But I like the 3% number. I thought, well, that's great. That's what we should do. Find out what they're doing. We're going to mimic it.
Yeah.
In fact, I called Gary Snyder and I said, look, do me some favors and start interviewing people anecdotally and find out what they've done to get these great numbers.
Yeah.
And what we'll find is these other countries are coming from are not heavily vaccinated, a very small amount.
No.
But something else we also know. They've all been flying in here, which means they had a recent test before they got on the airplane.
Should have had, yes.
Should have had. So they're flying in from Europe. They're flying in from Central and South America. They're flying in, which means they probably had a test.
That's true. That's true because they're not. It's not like the old time, the ones 20 years ago who actually did slog through the mud for 7,000 miles.
Yeah, but then they get here. By the time they get here, I mean, we know they had ID. They probably had passports. They had all that kind of stuff. They get here to the border. And all of a sudden they have nothing. We just walked here.
Yeah, right.
With our designer pants on. Because they bury all those itineraries and everything on the other side of the fence, which Gary picks up.
Yeah.
And takes a look at and all that stuff. So that probably helps explain the 3% if that's a true number.
Yeah.
Because they just got off the airplane. It'd be like checking everybody that gets off at Phoenix.
Yeah.
You're not going to find a high percentage.
You would think.
Yeah, because they'd be refused entry into the airport or getting on the plane. So that 3% might make sense if they're all coming in like we think they are off of aircraft, not buses, but airplanes. They got enough money to do that. But they get here and say that, for whatever reason, they need asylum. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Russ, you don't have much experience with third world nations, do you?
I do not.
Do you know what a payoff is, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know there's some stuff going on and stuff coming in. Everyone gets paid.
So for $50, I can pay off my COVID test, right?
Probably. But I not if they're tested here by us, they shouldn't be able to. But we'll see.
Sure, but if you're tested at any other border, any other place, any other airline, the question is, do you want to make money airline? Sure, $100.
Let me on.
You're good.
Maybe.
Let me on. You're good.
I think it's all in the.
We put American standards on the whole world.
Right.
No, you've got to go to each individual place and look at their standards.
Yeah.
We say America is corrupt. Well, buddy, the rest of the world is corrupt. How much more corrupt are they?
Probably as much as Joe Biden.
At least, bare minimum.
And here we are in the Christmas season. I apologize for that, but whatever. All right, buddy. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas, buddy. Bye-bye. Yeah. Is Joe Biden corrupt? Yeah, I think so. I think there's some really bad stuff going on.
I think that even his closest allies know that he's corrupt, and
he's a laughingstock too.
But you know what? They're laughing at us though,
correct?
Because we're having to put up with it.
Well, because we put him there.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not like Putin that he's there because he forced his way. I mean, who's going to fire him?
Yeah.
That guy's going to hurt you.
I don't know who is his number two.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter.
I'll bet you they don't allow him to walk into the room with a knife in his pocket. So.
No, and they got to laugh at Biden because he's not a threat. He's not a threat to anybody. He's just not. Well, Mel, I'm going to end a little early.
Okay.
So it's a couple minutes of. We're going to go out and play a little music.
All right.
Thank you so much for all your time. Thanks for coming in and for reading.
And for everyone out there, please take a couple of minutes and think about the reason we have the season tomorrow morning, okay?
Yeah.
Enjoy yourselves, have a Merry Christmas, and hopefully a very prosperous New Year.
So this is Christmas.